886 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Bold.
They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
We can allow.
Stop.
You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
We love Great Britain. We love its history, its culture and its tradition, and that's why we're so proud to be part of GB News.
You look genuinely emotional. Oh, come here.
GB News does pay attention to those who are ignored by the mainstream media. The majority of this country, whose forefathers fought and died to maintain liberty, to fight for freedom of speech.
The rule of law, the rights of property and democracy. This is the heritage that our country should be so proud of.
Which of course includes our Christian heritage. There's been a huge resurgence in the number of people going to church. Perhaps they're not finding what they're looking for, and they're looking for something a bit deeper, a bit more truthful, a bit more akin to Britain's Christian heritage.
That's right, get ready, because the most exciting night in general election history starts now!
Hello, good afternoon. It's midday on Saturday, the 24th of January already, which means a month ago it was Christmas Eve. Where's it gone? This is the weekend on GB News. We've got an amazing first hour for you, including, that fresh climb down from Sir Keir Starmer. The Chagos Islands bill pulled from the Lords amid mounting US pressure and fierce criticism from President Trump.
President Trump's remarks to be insulting and frankly appalling.
Sir Keir Starmer hits back at President Trump, defending Britain's veterans after claims NATO troops held back in Afghanistan, with Prince Harry also weighing in. And that's all after the US president said NATO forces stayed back from the front lines during that war. It's so offensive. So is the special relationship now under strain?
Next week, I will set out the most significant reforms to policing this country has seen in 200 years. Let me tell you why. Across the country, there is an epidemic of everyday crime.
Yes, and finally, policing is get to sort it out. Ministers are set to gain new powers to sack failing chief constables as the Home Secretary unveils the biggest overhaul of policing in generations. And this one will get you warnings of a lost generation as ministers are accused of prioritising older voters, and we'll debate who the government should focus on, the young or the old. And we'll be live from a pub, because it's a Saturday afternoon and I like pubs, as landlords warn Labour's tax plans are pushing them to the brink, with ministers now signalling a possible U-turn on punishing pub rates.
Yesterday, the Chancellor said to expect an announcement in the coming days. But with more than 500 pubs expected to close their doors this year, will it come quick enough and will it do enough for our pubs?
I'm Dawn Neeson and the weekend starts right here and right now. So thank you so much for your company on a Saturday afternoon, yet another one, and hello to all the regulars, Eileen and Tilly and everybody who's already getting in touch to say hello. Hello and welcome to the show, I think, as someone once said. Really appreciate your company, because this show is genuinely all about you. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you out there, keeping me company, having a natter, talking about everything we're concerned about, or just simply having a chat, because it's a Saturday afternoon. That's what we're here for. Get in touch. It's very easy to do so. gbnews.com/your-say. If you're, quite techie, you can scan that thing on your QR code thingy on your screen now. Join in the conversation, whatever you want to talk about, from Trump to Starmer to, I don't know, pubs. We could always talk about pubs for 3 hours. I'm with you on that one. As I say, get in touch. Let's have that Saturday afternoon natter, shall we? But all of that coming up, she's back. We're together, united. It's Bethany Elsey with your news headlines.
Dawn, thank you very much. And good afternoon. Your top stories at 3 minutes past 12. The Labour Mayor of Manchester, Andy Burnham, has until 5 p.m. this afternoon to decide whether to stand as a candidate in the Gorton and Denton by-election. The seat in Greater Manchester is vacant after Andrew Gwynn stepped down yesterday. Winning the seat would allow Andy Burnham to return to Westminster as an MP and mount a leadership challenge against Sir Keir Starmer. As a ruling mayor, he needs permission from the National Executive Committee, but several MPs, including the party's deputy leader Lucy Powell, are supporting his right to run.
Andy Burnham is incredibly popular in my part of the world. He is an incredibly popular politician because he is really changing our city for the better and delivering on those Labour values. And I think we should all come together and really celebrate where Labour's doing some great work. So it should be up to Andy and the local members who will select their candidate. And our members are very discerning and they're good at making their own mind up.
The Prime Minister has been forced to withdraw his Chagos Islands bill, which would see the territory handed back to Mauritius. The legislation was due to be debated in the House of Lords on Monday, but that's been delayed after Conservatives warned it could violate a 60-year-old treaty with the US that enshrines British sovereignty over the islands. The move comes after Donald Trump turned against the deal earlier this week, describing it as an act of great stupidity. The Prime Minister has criticised comments by the US President that suggested troops from NATO countries did not serve on the front line in Afghanistan. Sir Keir Starmer described the remarks as insulting and appalling and asked Donald Trump to apologise. But the White House responded exclusively to GB News, doubling down, saying President Trump is right and that America's contributions to NATO dwarf that of other allies. Prince Harry, who served in Afghanistan, also condemned the President, saying British soldiers and their sacrifices deserve to be spoken about truthfully and with respect. Ukraine's capital has come under what the mayor has described as a massive attack overnight, leaving hundreds of thousands without power or heating. Explosions were heard in Kyiv and Kharkiv, with authorities reporting at least one person killed and 15 others injured. The latest attack comes after the first direct talks between Ukraine and Russia on the US plan to end the war. The talks are due to continue today in Abu Dhabi. The government says ministers will be given new powers to intervene in failing police forces in England and Wales. It's after a row over West Midlands Police's decision to ban Israeli football fans from a match against Aston Villa last year. It led to the retirement of the Chief Constable, Craig Guilford. Current legislation which prevents ministers from intervening directly will be changed, with the Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood saying police forces should be held accountable to Parliament and to the public. Measures will be announced on Monday. And the NHS is launching the world's first database, which patients can search to see if they're at risk of developing cancer. The register contains 120 genes known to increase the likelihood of getting the disease, and is part of a 10-year plan to improve prevention and treatment. The charity Breast Cancer Now says it will help tens of thousands of people and that it has the potential to transform lives. You're up to date. I'll have more for you in half an hour. Let's get back to Dawn.
For all the latest from GB News whilst you're on the go, get the GB News app. Scan the QR code now to download or visit gbnews.com/app.
Thank you very much, Bethany. And yes, AM, she does have a really lovely accent, doesn't she? Unfortunately, I don't, but sorry about that. I apologise in advance. So let's get straight into today's stories, shall we? Because it's a very packed show. The Chagos deal has been put on pause as the PM announced he's withdrawing the bill following backlash from Washington. The bill was meant to be debated in the Lords on Monday, but has been pushed into the long grass again following President Trump's comments this week that the deal was a great stupidity. Now, a Labour source in the Lords said Donald Trump's remarks had no bearing on the decision to reschedule the bill for another day. But is this a bold move of the Prime Minister or a careless mistake? Now, I feel like we have been talking about the Chagos Islands for, well, nearly as long as Brexit, to be honest with you. And many of you, and I'm with you, can't understand why we would give away something we own and then pay to do so. It doesn't make any sense. But this has been going on for a long time. The people of the Chagos Islands aren't happy about it. And I think this has all come to a head, don't you, after Donald Trump kicked up a fuss about Greenland or Iceland, possibly. He wasn't quite sure, was he? But I think we mean Greenland. And the sovereignty of that island. And I think Donald Trump originally, because the Chagos Islands are, they have the American air base on them. And I think this is about the sovereignty, isn't it? Originally, Donald Trump did have a problem with us selling the islands or giving the islands to Mauritius and paying them to do so. But now he's changed his mind. None of it actually makes sense about this one. So we are trying to get to the bottom of why this has happened now. Labour and Keir Starmer were very determined to do so. We will be coming back to this subject as and when, because it's we need to get to the bottom of it. Many of you, as I said, like I, can't understand we give something away we own and then pay to do so. So we're getting to the bottom of that one. But at the moment, this is linked to this story as well. Is Britain's special relationship with the US under threat? Well, Sir Keir Starmer has publicly criticised Donald Trump's claims that NATO troops were not on the front line in Afghanistan as insulting and, frankly, appalling.
Let me start by paying tribute to the 457 of our armed services who lost their lives in Afghanistan. I will never forget their courage, their bravery, and the sacrifice that they made for their country. There are many also who were injured, some with life-changing injuries. And so I consider President Trump's remarks to be insulting and frankly appalling. And I'm not surprised they've caused such hurt to the loved ones of those who were killed or injured.
Actually, really good to hear strong words from the Prime Minister for once. Meanwhile, overnight, a White House spokesperson has told GB News President Trump is absolutely right. The United States of America has done more for NATO than any other country in the alliance has done combined. Now, even Prince Harry has weighed in on this debate, saying, I served there, I made lifelong friends there, and I lost friends there. The United Kingdom alone had 457 service personnel killed. Thousands of lives were changed forever. Mothers and fathers buried sons and daughters. So could this be the start of a fractured relationship, I think is a polite way of putting it, between the UK and the US? And should President Trump apologise? Joining us now is Director, Afghan Human Rights Foundation, Mohammed Asif. Mohammed, good to see you. Thank you very much for joining me. What do you make, first of all, of Donald Trump's comments?
I mean, everyone said it's very insulting and it's really, really appalling, you know, and I think what the British government should do right now, summon the American ambassador to the Foreign Office or even dismiss the ambassador until, Trump apologized. I'm an anti-war campaigner. I was a very critic of the war in Afghanistan from the very start. But when soldiers go there, they fight for their country. Whether, it was wrong or right, it's another subject. I was always saying that it was wrong to go into Afghanistan, but to insult the families of soldiers who were killed, in a fight in Afghanistan. And I think this is about time that, someone in British politics have the guts to dismiss the American ambassador and summon him or her until, Trump apologizes. And Trump is just a bully. And someone has to stand, to his bullies. And I'm afraid there is no one in NATO, who can really stand to Trump.
And why do you think he said it now, Mohammed?
Because as we know that, Trump sleeps on the right side of his body. Every night he wakes up or every morning, he wants to say something the next day. And because there are issues with Greenland, there are issues, with other European countries. And now he wanted to portray that, soldiers who fought in Afghanistan, they were cowards and they did not fight for, NATO. So as I said, Trump is not really mentally fit, and someone really, really needs to tell him in the White House that he needs to zip his mouth.
OK, Mohammed, maybe the language was, I'm playing devil's advocate here, obviously, maybe the language was not maybe the correct language to use, but maybe what Donald Trump was aiming at and what the White House seemed to have said today is the point he was trying to make is that America have done more for NATO, the organisation, than any other country. So maybe the message got confused, but the message is that America have done more for NATO than other countries. Do you think there might be some truth in that?
No, there's no confusion. I mean, Trump is very clear. He insults his friends, his allies, his, close circles. If you don't agree with Trump, that's the end of your career. The next day you're a bad person. You saw it with the French president, with NATO, and so many. We saw it with their closest ally, Zelensky. What he and his vice president did to him when he was visiting, the White House. So Trump knows what exactly he says. He doesn't have friends around him, and he doesn't really care about his friends, those who are his friends. And as I said, NATO, shouldn't be in Afghanistan or Iraq. NATO was meant for Cold War to fight against the USSR, and it should be dismantled altogether.
OK, interesting viewpoint there. And Mohammed, when you say that NATO shouldn't have been involved in Afghanistan, people were, and people still are, certainly women, suffering in Afghanistan. What should the world and what should Donald Trump do about that situation?
I mean, the women in Afghanistan are as the result of failure in Afghanistan. 20 years of Afghanistan occupation, with 47 countries involved in Afghanistan. What NATO did, including Britain and America, they replaced the Taliban with Taliban, and they throw the entire population in the sea, especially the women in Afghanistan. For our current situation, for our women in Afghanistan, NATO, especially Britain and America, is responsible for our current situation. 20 years of war in occupation, miseries, nearly 500 British kids were killed in Afghanistan. And suddenly within, midnight, Britain and America packed their bags and left Afghanistan and abandoned the people of Afghanistan. That wasn't really good.
Now, I think we can agree that the way Afghanistan was left was a very long way from ideal, and they were horrific scenes, which we all remember very well. But Mohammed, surely you're not actually genuinely telling me that the fact that women have zero rights in Afghanistan, they're not even allowed to speak, they're not allowed to leave their houses, and that they have no medical care, is the fault of America and Britain?
It is, yeah. I wrote a letter to Tony Blair just after 9/11. And I said, Taliban were a bunch of brutal individuals or organization, whatever you call them. So what is the alternative for Taliban? And exactly Tony Blair told me, this time we are going to give you democracy, human rights, women's rights, construction, reconstructions, development. And none of this happened. Imagine 20 years, billion and trillion spent in Afghanistan. And after 20 years, because America decided, to leave Afghanistan, the rest of the world decided that if America wants to leave, so we have to leave. And then within 24 hours, the Afghanistan was handed back to the Taliban.
OK, Mohammed, just quickly before we lose you, I'm fascinated by your comments on this. So if, you know, the NATO and America and then Britain's left and the Taliban took over, what about everybody else in Afghanistan? Why didn't they do something about the Taliban themselves? Why are they letting this situation continue?
We do, because we were oppressed. You know, the West decided to empower the most vicious warlords and drug lords, you know, those who are criminals, according, not me saying, the Amnesty International, you know, the International Human Rights Watchdog, saying that those who were involved in the civil war, so what America and Britain and NATO did, they brought them back to power, and the misery of Afghanistan started. I, as an individual, cannot stand against the Taliban. You know, you were like a superpower, you know, with nuclear weapons. You know, abandon Afghanistan. So how do you expect me to fight the Taliban with empty hands?
OK, Mohammed, just finally, because we are running out of time on this one. So what is the future for Afghanistan? How do we sort out the problem that is Afghanistan and the Taliban and the human rights issues?
I mean, the future for Afghanistan is people have to, you know, put pressure on the Taliban. You know, that what is happening in Afghanistan, it's not right, especially for women in Afghanistan. And if you don't apply any pressure, I know at the back door, Britain and America and others are happy, you know, talking to Taliban behind the scene.
Sorry, you're saying Keir Starmer and Donald Trump are happy with the situation in Afghanistan?
Yeah, they're totally happy. You see, America spent more than $1 billion a month in Afghanistan. So now they're spending like 40 million. So it's cheap labor for the United States and the United Kingdom and NATO. Because what America and Britain was spending billions, now they're spending only 40 million in Afghanistan in the name of AIDS, but that money directly goes to the Taliban.
Well, yeah, that is a problem. OK, interesting thoughts there. That is Director, Afghan Human Rights Foundation, Mohammed Asif. Mohammed, thank you very much for joining us. Well, do let me know about that one, won't you? gbnews.com/your say. Now, back to that news of the other Labour U-turn. I think we're up to, this is potentially number 15 in 18 months. That's not bad going, is it? Yeah, the Chagos deal has been put on pause at the moment, with the Prime Minister announcing he's withdrawing the bill following a backlash from Washington. So joining us now is international security and border control expert Henry Bolton. Henry, good to see you. Thank you very much. Sorry we had trouble connecting with you earlier. Henry, now, is this a 15th U-turn or is it on hold? And still, can no one explain to me why the hell we are giving away something we own and paying for the privilege?
I can't explain why we're doing it, Dawn. Absolutely not. It is nonsensical. There are, of course, you know, I'm not sort of speculating as such, but the sort of terrain is such that for many years now, the United Kingdom has provided certain capabilities to China. So, for example, their nuclear power stations are governed by electronic systems that are designed and built by the UK. Whether that gives us some leverage over China or not, I don't know. But I do know that at certain points in time, China has said to the United Kingdom, look, we're not happy with this unless there's a sort of quid pro quo. In other words, we've got some sort of equal leverage over you, or you're doing something for us. So only a weak government would say, oh, yeah, that sounds fair enough. And I suspect that's where we are with this government. I don't know, but that's the sort of terrain that behind the scenes is having to be navigated. But the other thing is, you ask whether, I don't know how many U-turns this is, it's one of quite a few, I've lost count. But what's actually happening? Well, back in 1966, the United Kingdom had an exchange of letters with the United States, allowing the United States to use Diego Garcia, which is the air base where you're sort of showing footage now of US aircraft in Diego Garcia, allowing the United States to use that base. Now, that permission, which effectively has the sort of weight of a treaty between us and the United States, is predicated on the authority can only be given by the sovereign nation, which at the moment is the United Kingdom. So if you then do what the United Kingdom's trying to do, which is lease the thing back, you move from being the sovereign authority to a tenant. And you know, it's like many things. You know, if you rent a house and you're a tenant to a house and then you sublet it or you turn it into a shop or something, you're likely to incur the sort of displeasure of the landlord, and he's likely to kick you out. So the question now, and the reason that this has been delayed, is because the Conservative peers last week in the House of Commons managed to get an amendment through requiring the government to clarify that their policy on this, their giveaway of the Chagos Islands, is not going to violate that treaty obligation. That's why it's been delayed. And I have to say, Dawn, and I've never liked political parties of any persuasion trying to claim credit for things, where it's not due. And at the moment, I see Reform trying to claim credit for this, resulting from a dinner between Nigel Farage and Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary of the US, in Davos a couple of nights ago. Well, that's simply not the case. The facts of this are the amendment that was passed by the House of Lords to ensure that the government checks this treaty obligation and any conflict with it is the reason that the government has now delayed the reading. Now, when it's going to be rescheduled, there is no date set for that yet. So the government will be trying to clarify the position of the United States on the back of what President Trump has said now, and they will be trying to do the legal work to ensure that they are not in violation of the 1966 exchange of letters. So that's where we are. I don't know whether that helps clarify it.
Well, I don't think anyone really understands what's going on, because America and Trump have changed their minds on this. I mean, the latest statement says the UK giving away extremely important land is an act of great stupidity in screaming capital letters. And, he does have a point, but it also illustrates, I think personally, how little respect he does appear to have for that special relationship and Keir Starmer.
I think so, Dawn. I mean, it's a little bit like he's not the only leader of that ilk that we've got to deal with at the moment. Putin is another one. If you don't show that you are able to stand on your own feet, if you don't have the hard power and the will to use it, which of course we've neglected our hard power for decades. That really started under Blair, and David Cameron and George Osborne really sort of dug in on that we can sort of start to shed critical hard power capabilities and rely on the United States. Well, he's absolutely right on that, Donald Trump. We have neglected hard power, and our politicians have forgotten how and when to use it, or to sort of have it, a police officer might show his baton as a deterrent to somebody who's about to have a go. Well, we don't even show our deterrent. We don't wave the big stick, let alone be prepared to use it. And he's absolutely right. In this world that is more and more insecure, when we're dealing with people like Putin and an irredentist China, you've got to be able to show the big stick, and if necessary, be prepared to use it. We've lost both skills. So he's right with that, but I think he's got no time for weak leadership. And that is precisely what we have in this country. And to be fair, we've had weak leadership for the last 20, 25 years. That has to change. But the leadership that we bring in must be statesmanlike, thoughtful, an eye for detail, and forget the bullet point policies of, we'll do this, 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 and this. The only credibility is we'll do it. But how will you do it? When will you do it? What resources will it take? Who's going to be tasked to do it? And how are you going to deal with the second and third order effects like diplomatic relations and so on and so forth?
Okay, Henry, thank you so much, Henry. You've made the point. We need strong, decisive leadership. Good luck with that, everyone. That was security and border control expert Henry Bolton there on the mystery of the Chagos Islands and what the hell's happening with that one. I'm Dawn Neeson, this is GBNews. Lots more coming up on today's show, including sweeping new police reforms as the Home Secretary moves to gain new powers to sack failing chief constables. But will it make you and I feel safer on our streets? That's the question, isn't it? All of that and much more to come. This is GBNews, Britain's news channel. We'll see you very soon.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
of the Autistic Barbie?
Well, made by Mattel, this latest offering in the Barbie brand launches a new neurodiverse doll.
Yeah, but lots of people reacting to this, saying it's too political and even virtue signalling. We're asking this morning, has Barbie gone woke?
Joining us now, Paula London, who's a commentator on all sorts of social events, and the author, academic and activist Lisa McKenzie. We say hello, good morning to you. Now, tell me this, which one of you would cuddle up Barbie, this new Barbie doll? Which one of you would do it?
I think if I was a little girl, you know, Barbie's Barbie, isn't she? You know, this is something that Mattel has done for many, many years. You know, the first astronaut Barbie was 1985. We've got wheelchair user Barbie, we've got mermaid Barbie, we've got there are so many different Barbies, and I think with this, again, there's another story to this. It's been, this Barbie is being made with a charity. So it's about, offering little girls a different type of Barbie, but it's also about showing that girls with autism are also, you know, part of society.
I have ADHD, and up to 50% of all women that have ADHD fit into the criteria for autism, and I found it rather almost offensive that the autistic Barbie has eyes that don't look directly in front, also has an iPad for communication, has noise-cancelling headphones, and up to 1 million people have autism in this country. Some people don't realise.
GB News, the People's Channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello, welcome back to the Weekend with me, Dawn. This is an interesting start to the programme so far. Thank you for your company. OK, now let's talk about policing. Are we going to feel safer on our streets after this week? What do you reckon? Ministers have been given direct powers to sack failing chief constables in the wake of the police decision to ban Israeli football fans from that match against Aston Villa back in November. The Home Secretary has promised action after declaring she had lost confidence in Craig Guilford, that's the boss of the West Midlands Police, after he decided to ban those Maccabi Tel Aviv fans from Villa Park. Now, let's hear from a former London police officer and director of Law and Order Foundation, Norman Brennan. Norman, good to see you. Thank you very much for joining me. OK, we've got a whole raft of new policing measures being unveiled this week, including the sacking of our police, our chiefs. Oh, Norman, I think you're frozen. I think we've just lost Norman there, OK, while we try and get Norman back. Hopefully we can. Well, let's talk about this situation. We are expecting a whole raft of new policing legislation to be unveiled this week, including police officers being told that they will need to get a licence or face dismissal, a bit like, you know, applying for a licence to operate, you know, I don't know, if you're, I don't know, whatever. But that's new. How's that one going to work and how much money is that going to cost us? And the Home Secretary will have the rights, unarguable rights, to sack police chiefs if they end up in a situation like the West Midlands. Do we have Norman back now? OK, fine. We are waiting to go back to Norman. And also, we are expected to hear that a number of police authorities around the country are going to be merged. So there'll be less of them, but they will be working more efficiently. The one question lots of you want answered, and the one question I think I want answered as well, is will it make any of us safer on our streets? I think we can go back to Norman now. Yes, Norman, there you are. Good to see you. Norman, thank you very much for joining me. Norman, a whole raft of measures being announced this week. Is it going to... The bottom line is it going to make us safer on our streets?
Absolutely not. I'd like to say is, I mean, Dawn, I've been doing interviews for 37 years. I've been in policing and law and order for 50. You would have thought that the government might have turned to people like myself and other like-minded people and say, what do we need to do? What do the public want? What are we doing wrong? What do we need to do right? Well, I can tell you what we need to do. First of all, we need to get rid of the College of Policing. It's not the College of Policing, it's the College of Robotic Policing. What happens is they're programmed not to lead, but to be weak, woke and weary. What we need are strong supervisors, sergeants, inspectors, chief inspectors that actually can lead and supervise and ensure that frontline police officers are on the streets for the maximum amount of time that they need to be. And it really is, Dawn, as though the lunatics have not just taken over the asylum, they've taken over policing, the criminal justice system, and have lost their way. And the public are just living in despair, saying, all I want to do is see a police officer. When I call them, I want them to turn up and investigate my crime and challenge those that offend. That is the bread and butter and the 9 Pelian principles of policing. You don't kick what's broke, you repair what's broke, and the government seems to have lost their way on just about everything to do with policing and law and order.
Yeah, no, I mean, Norman, obviously it is important when you have situations like the West Midlands police chief, who obviously behaviour was appalling and was found to, at best, be misleading, I think, downright lying, some would say, over that situation. It is important that the Home Secretary does have power to get rid of bad apples like that. So that will make a difference.
I haven't got a problem with that. You're absolutely right. You would have thought the Home Secretary would be able to dismiss, sack police crime commissioners and chief constables if they didn't do what they wanted to do, or them to do. Well, the principle of policing is what the public want, not what the police want. But you've got certain groups, basically religious groups, controlling police. And the chiefs are more worried about the grief that they are going to cause rather than protecting those that really need the police. And that's the law-abiding public, the victims of crime, and people that live in areas which are sometimes deemed as no-go areas, that they're afraid to go and buy a property and bring up a family in areas that is high in crime, with knife crime, violent crime. And when we're reducing all these forces now to just a few, it means that the ones that don't see the police will see them even less if that's possible. The bigger cities may get better policing. Police officers have to drive to huge number of miles to actually take prisoners. That's going to take longer. And the caveat, Dawn, if I'm allowed to say, if I was the Home Secretary in Britain, I would keep policing as it is. I'd keep every police force as it is, but I'd recruit the 20,000 officers that we are short of since the population growth in 2009, over 20,000. And what I would do, I would get 8 or 10 sort of premium groups together, squads, 250 a time, firearms officers, dog handlers, investigators, community police officers, and they would be strategically placed around Britain, one always in London, one between Liverpool and Birmingham and also Manchester. And what they do is they hit villages, towns and cities, people that never see the police, and they go in and challenge the thugs that are making and blighting their lives every day, and listen to the public, reassure them, talk to them, get the information we used to get. It's bread and butter policing. The government is lost, and I pray, Dawn, that one day I will see the police service I once was in and did exactly what I said. Sadly, I don't think I'll ever see that police service ever again. And I'm ashamed to say that as one of their spokespersons.
Norman, very strong words, and I have to admit, being of a certain age, I couldn't agree with you more. That's Norman Brennan there, Director of Law and Order Foundation. Thank you so much for joining us. Let us know what you think about that one, obviously. Now, in its response to criticism, West Midlands Police have said it was extremely sorry for the errors, adding none of this was done with an intent or deliberate distortion or discrimination. Thank you. OK, remember, let me know your thoughts on all the stories we're discussing. So it's been an interesting start to the show, it has to be said, at gbnews.com/your say. In particular, that law and order one, I'm very interested in what you got to say about that. I mean, are you going to feel safer with the Home Secretary's announcement? Personally, I'm not. But in any case, let us know what you think, and you can scan that QR code thingy on your screen as we speak. OK, and there's lots more coming up on today's show. Yes, the Beckhams. We have to talk about it. Front page of papers. The Beckham family fallout still continues to dominate those headlines. We'll discuss Is it wise to to cut your parents off, the family feud? More and more young people are walking away from their families. What on earth is going on there? All of that and much more to come. I'm Dawn Newsome, and this is GBNews at Britain's News Channel. I'll see you very soon.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. A wet and windy day on offer at times in parts of the west with some Met Office warnings in force, but the good news is there will be some brighter spells at times. Now, why has it been so wet and windy recently? Well, it's all thanks to low pressure moving in from the Atlantic, and through today we'll see it continuously swirl around across parts of the southwest. So a wet and windy day on offer across parts of Wales, southwest England, and some strong gusty winds could create some large waves, and persistent rain could lead to some localised flooding. Later on, this rain will start to push into parts of Northern Ireland, also some spells of rain across the far northeast of Scotland, this likely turning to hill snow at times, but elsewhere mostly dry, a mix of patchy cloud and some brighter spells, maybe even some sunny spells across parts of the southeast later. Now, through the course of the evening, we'll continue to see these bands of rain push into parts of south and southwest England, parts of Wales as well, and eventually drifting into parts of Northern Ireland. Still quite persistent and heavy at times. A rain warning has been issued for Northern Ireland through the overnight period. Still continuous spells of rain across the far northeast of Scotland and likely falling as snow towards higher ground. Now, through the overnight period, once again, it's going to be mostly cloudy, and we'll still continue to see spells of rain and showers, still fairly gusty around western coast too, but overall winds will be largely easing away. And with cloud and the added breeze, that should hopefully be holding temperatures up as we head towards Sunday morning. So mostly in the mid-single figures, but where we see any clearer skies in any sheltered spots, we could see more towards freezing. Now, heading into Sunday, it is going to be another unsettled day, some clouds, some spells of rain. We'll see an initial drier spell at first across parts of the southwest before a secondary band of rain starts to move through. Perhaps some brighter spells later across Northern Ireland, and remaining mostly dry across East Anglia and the very far southeast, and temperatures around about average for the time of year.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Hello and welcome back to the show with me, Dawn Newsome. And thank you so much for your company, gbnews.com/your saint. Now, we are going to cross live to central London, where Mayor Sadiq Khan is addressing Fabian-side. Let's have a quick listen to what he's saying.
After only 12 months in the role with a great executive committee. Let's please give them all, Joe and the Fabian team, a big round of applause. It's great to see the not-so-secret cabal going from strength to strength. I also want to congratulate the chair, Sarah Hyde, who recently received a well-deserved peerage. Let's please give the Baroness Sarah Hyde of Bemerton a big round of applause as well. I've got to be honest, bear in mind what's been going on over the last couple of days. I just thought everyone would buy a box of popcorn and a ticket and head up to Liverpool for the Labour North West Conference today. I was actually expecting to see more members of Labour's NEC here today. Maybe they're busy with something else. Look, I'm going to use my speech this afternoon to talk about some issues that have become contentious and weighed heavily on our politics over recent years. immigration and integration. I do so not only because these issues are so fundamental to the story of my city and its continued success, but because they go to the heart of our values and who we are as a nation. The resurgence of far-right populism and nativism means that the idea that we can be diverse, united, and prosperous is under threat like never before. The White House's national security strategy recently made the preposterous claim that Europe is at risk of civilization erasure. The far right is spreading the same message in Europe, with the National Rally in France, the AFD in Germany, the PVV in the Netherlands, and the Brothers of Italy. Over here, Reform and the Tories are dancing to the same tune. They paint a dystopian picture of London as a city that's fallen. And let's be frank, they do so because they can't stand what London represents. A city that's diverse, that's progressive and thriving, with a mayor who happens to be a Muslim. The fact that this is the greatest city in the world makes a mockery of their entire worldview. So they construct lies, seek to manufacture an enemy, pit citizens against one another for political gain, and stoke fear.
OK, thank you, Sir Sadiq Khan. That was Sadiq Khan, the Mayor of London, addressing the Fabian Society in London, which is a prominent left-leaning think tank, which, if you were listening, you might have got the gist that was indeed the case. And naturally, within seconds of starting to speak, Sadiq Khan was blaming the rise of the far right across Europe for the unrest across Europe as well, and saying that the far right in this country, and they are the threat, and that they can't stand what London represents, because it is a diverse, wonderful city where everybody is happy, with a mayor that happens to be a Muslim. That is exactly what you expected him to say, and that's in the first few minutes of his speech. We will obviously let you know if he says anything else about how wonderful London is to live in. And to be fair, homicide is slightly down, but everything else is up crime-wise. OK, I'm Daubney, and this is GBNews. There is lots more coming up on today's show. Still no word on that promised U-turn on the pub business race, and landlords warn rising costs are pushing local pubs to the brink. But if you are in search of some holiday sun, here's a forecast of those top European destinations.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean all clear skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, are you heading away this weekend? Storm Ingrid is bringing some very unsettled weather to Portugal and Spain. It's pretty wet and windy elsewhere too. The Canary Islands, though, still seeing plenty of dry weather, not especially warm, however. Very wet weather into Spain and Portugal, and some unsettled weather, thunderstorms across parts of Italy as well as the Balkans. It does look drier, though, towards Greece for the weekend. That wet weather will push eastwards later, though. Bye-bye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, DC.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/your say. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/your say, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Oh my Lord, welcome back to the excuse me, welcome back to the weekend with me, Dawn Neeson. I'm getting all excited here. Have you ever had a row with your mum and dad? Ever fallen out so much so that you don't want to speak to them ever again? It happens a lot, and it's happening increasingly more. Now, when it happens to rich, famous folk like the Beckhams or the Royals, Harry and King Charles, it's like, oh, a pampered spot. But it's happening to an awful lot more families. So what's going on here? Why is it happening, and what triggers it? Lucy Beresford has all the answers for us and Johnson is shooting. Lucy, what happens when families fall out to this? Obviously, the Beckhams is why we're talking about, that's the peg, but it's happening to ordinary families as well, and heartbreak is awful.
Well, I think one of the reasons why this story is really lasting is because it is so relatable. They've got titles, they've got loads of money, they've got Netflix documentaries, but they are actually human beings having a feud, not getting on. The front page of one of the papers today had Nicola Peltz apparently saying to her new husband, it's her, your mother, Victoria Beckham, or me. And that kind of territorial dispute is very familiar in families. The problem is, if you don't experience that, if you don't come from a family where that kind of friction exists, it can be really impossible to understand how anybody could get to the point of writing an autobiography like Harry, slagging your family off, or actually putting a statement out on Instagram saying, I want to have nothing more to do with my family. But the problem is, some families become so toxic that the only way to stop the game playing is to get off the pitch.
OK, now this seems to happen quite a lot when children get into their 20s and suddenly either bring a partner home that mum and dad don't think is right for them, or they realise the ideals and beliefs they were brought up with are different to how they feel now.
Almost by definition, the outsider comes in, the Meghan, the Nicola Peltz, let's say the Holly Ramsey in the Adam Peaty scenario, and they look around and they think, well, this is a bit weird. This isn't how we do things in my family. Have you ever thought that this might be a bit strange? And they just bring a different perspective. To be fair, that can also happen in marriages when children come along. You've got the mum and dad having their sort of the grooves and the ruts that they get into as a dynamic. dynamic. And then the children come along, and when they're old enough to speak, they say, well, we don't like what you're doing, Mummy. We don't like what you're doing, Daddy. And what happens is they're the ones that will blow the whistle. This particular story with the Beckhams is so seismic because the Beckhams themselves have curated very carefully this brand of what they're like, particularly as a family. We all get on and we all love each other. And now Brooklyn Beckham has said it's not like that. And in a way, you see that a lot in other, let's say, non-celebrity families, when somebody maybe announces very suddenly that there's going to be a divorce, or that they split up with someone, or that they're telling the truth of their relationship as they see it, which external family members or friends might never have had a window on before. And suddenly you discover that things were not all as they seemed.
Lucy, just quickly, because we are running out of time, unfortunately, is it worth it? Can you come back from this?
I think from a psychological perspective, if your family is so toxic that it's causing you mental distress, for sure it's worth it. Whether you can ever come back from it, never say never. Right. Time is a great healer.
Indeed. Lucy, thank you so much indeed. Talking of time, we've run out. Lucy Beresford there on family feuds, which I don't think are a good idea. OK, now pubs are anxiously awaiting the details of the Chancellor's climb down on business rates after it was announced weeks ago that there would be a U-turn on that tax relief. GB News national reporter Sophie Reaper is in a pub. Sophie.
Well, Dawn, it's a very nervous time for landlords around the United Kingdom. More than 360 closed their doors last year and forecast that more than 500 will do the same this year. That's unless something changes. Now, we know that pubs are a staple here in Great Britain. They're something that communities rely on. So, on that, let's speak now to a local resident. Now, Lee, you've been coming here to the One-B Tap for 10 years, since it opened, haven't you? Now, just talk to me about how important not only this pub is to the local community, but all of our great British pubs, how much we rely on them as a community.
Well, it's the community spirit. I think I've been here for baby showers, christenings, funerals. When we're meeting up to go to different towns, we meet up in a pub. It's good to meet your friends, family. I just think it's a good space to socialise. And, you know, when it's so dear and expensive to heat your own homes, it's good to come to a place where it's warm, welcoming. And it's just a great social aspect that people that maybe are on their own or they've lost relatives or family, just so you can come and be with other people. It can be quite lonely when you've in your own house with no heating on at the moment, because you know what it's like for prices. So it's a good social aspect, and everyone's so welcoming.
Now, just really quickly, we're waiting to hear from the government to see what they're going to do for pubs like this one. If you had a message for the Chancellor, what would your message be in terms of supporting our pubs?
Well, you need to tax reliefs, because hospitality it's just getting caned, isn't it, with taxes. Like this pub, it puts on music, food, and that's where, and jobs for everyone, which young people, when they're coming through to bar staff, it's just so difficult, isn't it?
Lee, thanks so much for joining us this afternoon. There you go, pubs absolutely vital to the thread of the United Kingdom, Dawn, and lots of people worried about closures. Let's just hope the government can do something to save them.
Sophie, go and do your bit. You have my permission. Thank you very much. OK, lots more coming up on today's show, but all of that after a quick break for, it's the weather, because what's it like? I think it's quite nice outside. In any case, let's find out, shall we? Don't go too far. I'll see you after this.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good afternoon. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. For the rest of the weekend, it's often going to be cloudy. We will still see some spells of rain and temperatures around average for this time of the year. Why has it been so wet recently? Well, it's all thanks to low pressure continuously coming in from the west, swirling around across the west and southwest of the country. So this means at times this evening we'll continue to see some spells of rain, particularly across southwest England, southern parts of Wales, and also some fairly persistent outbreaks of rain across Northern Ireland later. Briefly turning a little bit drier across parts of the southwest before another heavy band of rain starts to move through. Most areas will see some spells of rain overnight, and this likely falling as hill snow across parts of Scotland. Still fairly breezy as we head into Sunday morning, but winds generally easing off. So that means many areas starting off the day around the mid-single figures. So another wet start across parts of southwest England, eventually rain moving into southern Wales. Elsewhere, a mix of cloud and also some patchy rain. Similar across Northern Ireland, northern parts of England. We will see some patchy rain at times, and this still likely falling as snow across the Scottish Highlands. Perhaps a little bit drier towards the far north of Scotland, away from any showers across the Northern Isles. And for most on Sunday, it is going to be a fairly unsettled day. Mostly cloudy with continuous spells of rain, perhaps starting to turn a little bit brighter across Northern Ireland later, mostly dry across East Anglia and South East England, but even here still fairly cloudy. And temperatures are around average for this time of the year, but it's likely feeling quite chilly under the cloud and any spells of rain, and particularly chilly around the eastern breeze across any eastern coastal areas. Now into the evening, more cloud to come, some spells of rain, but through the early hours of Monday, most cloud clearing away. So it's likely a chillier start heading into the new working week with some sunshine, but that's before more wind and rain arriving later on Monday and possibly leading to some more Met Office warnings later in the week.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's the final week to see how you can become our biggest cash prize winner to date, as there's a simply stunning £85,000 in tax-free cash to be won. Go on that dream holiday, buy that brand new car, or just relax in the knowledge that the rest of the year could be on us. But you have to hurry, as lines close on Friday the 30th of January. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
Purchase has divided the newsroom, shall we say.
Has it divided it? It's Stephen on one side and everybody on the other side.
Look, I like a bit of fashion. A bit of fashion, a bit of style. I'm a man of a certain age now. I'm very nearly 52. So what is wrong with that? What is wrong with that? It's a nice red...
Looks like you've had a burn.
It's a lovely driving glove.
A red leather driving glove, if you were listening on
red and black.
Oh, yeah, it's
I mean,
double-sided, yeah.
Ultra stylish. They arrived yesterday.
With cut-out detail.
Well, it's a driving glove, and they've got little holes in the fingers and things. And...
They're lovely and soft, I have to say that.
Yeah.
Oh, Olivia, yes, they are.
Thank you, Olivia.
They are.
Gave them a little stroke.
You see, you're a woman of style and taste.
Woman of taste.
Timeless fashion.
They are buttery soft.
How do they feel when you're turning the steering wheel, Neil?
Lovely.
And do you do it with your little pinky out there?
No. They're lovely. Yeah. But I don't see what's... I walked in the newsroom this morning with this because I've got to walk half a mile in the morning to get when I park the car. I walked in and kept my hands toasty warm.
Yeah.
And I just got laughed at.
And everybody had an opinion when you walked through the door.
None of them good.
They were described as O.J. Simpson gloves.
I mean, that's
not good.
Well, any glove is an
They
O.J.
do fit, though, to be fair.
They do fit.
They fit remarkably well. I said they look like Cruella de Vil gloves. And you could get matching patent leather boots to match.
Nice.
What else was...
Why have they got holes? I always wondered with driving gloves. What's the point in the holes in the fingers?
Ventilation.
Is it meant so you can move your fingers on the steering wheel?
I don't know. A lot of driving gloves are like sort of knitted on the top, aren't they?
They are, yes. That beige knit with the leather on
I like the full leather.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Good afternoon, it's 1 o'clock on Saturday, the 24th of January, and this is the weekend on GB News. Thank you so much for your company this Saturday lunchtime. Now, a fresh climb down from Sir Keir Starmer. Yep, the Chagos Islands bill pulled from the Lords amid mounting US pressure and fierce criticism from President Trump.
Consider President Trump's remarks to be insulting and frankly appalling.
Meanwhile, Sir Keir Starmer hit back at President Trump, defending Britain's veterans after claims NATO troops held back in Afghanistan, with Prince Harry also weighing in. And that's after the US president said NATO forces stayed back from the front lines during the war. So is that special relationship under enormous strain?
Next week, I will set out the most significant reforms to policing this country has seen in 200 years. Let me tell you why. Across the country, there is an epidemic of everyday crime.
And ministers are set to gain new powers to sack failing chief constables as the Home Secretary unveils the biggest overhaul of policing in generations. And warnings of a lost generation as ministers are accused of prioritising older voters. And we'll debate who the government should focus on, the young or the old. That one's going to get heated. And of course, we'll be live from a pub as landlords warn Labour's tax plans are pushing them to the brink, with ministers now signalling, yes, another U-turn on those pub taxes.
Landlords around the UK are anxiously waiting that announcement from the government after yesterday Rachel Reeves said to expect it in the next few days. We'll be speaking to the landlady of this pub about what she's hoping for. Plus, Dawn, they've trusted me behind the bar now, so you might even get to see me pull a pint. Stay tuned.
I wouldn't trust Sophie behind the bar, to be honest with you. I'm Dawn Neeson, and this is The Weekend. Not that I'm jealous of Sophie, and we had our Jack in the pub yesterday, didn't we? I mean, it's such an important story to cover, it really is, but there are times I wish I was back being a young reporter as well, who got to spend all of a Saturday afternoon reporting live from a pub and obviously supporting the hospitality industry. So well done, Sophie, who we'll be going back to later and seeing how much havoc she has created behind the actual bar. But this show is all about you and your views, and hopefully you might even be watching me in a pub supporting the hospitality industry, or you could be sitting having a nice cup of tea on your sofa. I don't mind, it's about you, whatever you're doing, whatever you want to talk about. Really easy to get in touch at gbnews.com/yoursay. Join in that conversation or scan the QR code thingy, and all of that coming up, including pints. It's Saturday lunch. Come on, let's do this, people. That's after your news headlines with Bethany Elsey.
Dawn, thank you. Good afternoon. Your top stories from the GB Newsroom at 1:03. Labour's Deputy Leader Lucy Powell says the Gorton and Denton by-election could be one of the most consequential of this Parliament. The Labour Mayor of Manchester, Andy Burnham, has until 5 p.m. this afternoon to decide whether he wants to stand as a candidate. If he won the seat, it would pave the way for a leadership challenge against Sir Keir Starmer. As a ruling mayor, he needs permission from the National Executive Committee to run, but several MPs, including Angela Rayner, have warned against blocking him. Lucy Powell told a conference in the North West it should be up to him and the local members.
The absolute last thing that I want to see for my city and for the Labour Party is that we lose that by-election and we let Reform, or actually the Greens may be more likely, get a foothold into my city or into a northern city, which they've not yet done before. And as you say, I think this by-election is potentially going to be a really consequential by-election, maybe depending on who stands for the other parties and how it plays out, maybe the most consequential by-election of this Parliament.
The Prime Minister has been forced to withdraw the Chagos Islands bill, which would see the territory handed back to Mauritius. The legislation was due to be debated in the House of Lords on Monday, but that's been delayed after Conservatives warned it could violate a 60-year-old treaty with the US that enshrines British sovereignty over the islands. The move comes after Donald Trump turned against the deal earlier this week, describing it as an act of great stupidity. The Prime Minister has publicly criticised comments by the US President that suggested troops from NATO countries did not serve on the front line in Afghanistan. Sir Keir Starmer described the remarks as insulting and asked Donald Trump to apologise. But the White House doubled down, exclusively telling GB News that President Trump is right and that America's contributions to NATO dwarf that of other countries. Prince Harry, who served in Afghanistan, also condemned the President's remarks, saying British soldiers and their sacrifices deserve to be spoken about truthfully and with respect. Ukraine's capital has come under what the mayor has described as a massive attack overnight, leaving hundreds of thousands without power or heating. Explosions were heard in Kyiv and Kharkiv, with authorities reporting at least one person has been killed and 15 others injured. This latest attack comes after the first direct talks between Ukraine and Russia on the US plan to end the war. The talks continue today in Abu Dhabi. The government says ministers will be given new powers to intervene in failing police forces in England and Wales. It's after a row over West Midlands Police's decision to ban Israeli football fans from a match in Birmingham last year. It led to the retirement of the Chief Constable, Craig Guildford. Current legislation which prevents ministers from intervening directly will be changed, with the Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, saying police forces should be held accountable to Parliament and the public. Measures are set to be announced on Monday. And the NHS is launching the world's first database which patients can search to see if they're at risk of developing cancer. The register contains 120 genes known to increase the likelihood of getting the disease. It's part of a 10-year plan to improve prevention and treatment of cancer. The charity Breast Cancer Now says it will help tens of thousands of people and has the potential to transform lives. You're up to date for now. Let's get back to Dawn.
Tune in to GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB Digital Radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player, on Nation Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Thank you very much, Bethany. OK, we've got a packed hour coming up for you. A really important story to kick off with. Our top story, the Chagos deal has been put on pause as the Prime Minister announced he's withdrawing the bill following backlash from, Donald Trump in Washington. The bill was meant to be debated in the Lords on Monday, but mysteriously has been kicked into the long grass following President Trump's comments this week that the deal was a great stupidity. A Labour source in the Lords said Donald Trump's remarks had no bearing on the decisions to reschedule the bill for another day. I wonder, was this a bold move for the Prime Minister or a careless mistake? And is he just running scared of Donald Trump? And what does Donald Trump think of him? And let's not forget, there are people involved in this, people's lives involved in this. So joining us now in the studio, I'm thrilled to say, is Chagosian First Minister, Misle Mandarin. Misle, thank you so much for coming in. I really wanted to talk to you about this. It's so important. Firstly, what do you make about this bill being put off? Does it give you some hope?
Yes. Hello, Dawn. Thank you for having me.
You're more than welcome. It's our pleasure.
And GB News viewers, which is tremendously very, very supporter of my fight, of the people, the Chagosian people fight. So talking about that deal the government just pulled, it's not finished. It just paused it. It put on ice. Anytime, any day, it could be Wednesday, right? It said, oh, we put it back again. So we need to, as First Minister of the Chagosian people, I need to tread very, very carefully. So that's why I'm flying to Washington, D.C. next week to ask the American politician to see that madness of that deal and how it can impact the U.S. security, including the UK security and the global security.
It does seem absolutely astonishing that we are where we are with this. This is your home we're talking about. You've never been to the Chagos Islands, have you?
Right. To get to Chagos Island as a Chagosian, you have to take permission. Can you imagine, Dawn? Yeah? You got your own house. You have to get permission to get in your house and only visiting. And then you have to go out from your house. So basically, seeing contracted workers like the Filipinos in your house, enjoying the beach, working, and get paid for it, and you there in abject poverty. I can't understand why the government is doing a worst deal of, I think, in a century, giving my homeland to Mauritius without me having a say or without me to have a self-determination.
It is quite astonishing. So when you go and speak to the government, which I know you have been, what response do you get?
Well, we've been knocking the door of number 10 or all the... No response at all. It's like the thinking is... Basically, it's like is a big wall, like we behind that wall, and whatever happened with their deal, we don't care about those people. We just steam ahead in their own agenda, which is very wrong.
So, Ms. Lay, you're going over to Washington.
Yeah.
Do you have more faith in Donald Trump to see some sense in this situation than you do in Keir Starmer?
I can tell you, Dawn, yeah, I got more sense with President Trump than our own Prime Minister, which is a shame.
Yeah.
I'm British. Dawn, I'm British. My Prime Minister should be helping me. Why I have to go to a foreign country asking for help?
You are so calm and you're so smiling about this situation. Most of us would be absolutely furious about the way
you can see I'm smiling, but I'm furious inside.
Yeah.
And can you imagine, half a century, this has been happening. And Keir Starmer saying he's a human rights lawyer. What is your human right here?
That is such a good point. Well, Miss Lay, the other thing that I think has triggered where we are now with your islands is the situation in Greenland. The fact that Keir Starmer suddenly cares so much about the people of Greenland and their democratic rights, about their land, and it should belong to them, and they should be listened to about what they want to happen to their land. Did you get any of that?
No, this is completely wrong. But that key point, all the British territory around the world, right? They have to be listened very carefully. If the government under Keir Starmer did that to his own people, own British territory, you could be next any time. And then, for me, I don't see no logic, no sense in it. The only thing I can see is diminish the British security around the world. Imagine now, we got sovereignty in the middle of the Indian Ocean. The world is boring right now. Even in that part of the world is boring, where you get China next to us, you get India next to us.
And Mauritius is very close to China, as we know.
Yes. And why would you switch off the light there and say there's no British person in there?
So, Miss Lay, what do you want to happen? What is the ideal solution for the Chagos Island people?
Kill the bill right now. That's the first thing the government have to do. Kill the bill out of respect for the chosen people. The next thing we have to, the government in the past did a KPNJ resettlement plan. We want to go home. And I said so many times, we know and I know how important Jacob Garcia military base is to the world. Maybe Keir Starmer don't know, but I know better than him, right? And we said, if the Chagosians have to go back, if we have to do probation, we have to do vetting, all that, we all agree to it, but we want to go home.
So you live in London now, and you would go home tomorrow if you could?
Tomorrow, tonight, anytime. It's not only me, my people want to go home. That is the most important. And the one thing, we have to make it clear, Dawn. When they said, when the government is, they have rhetoric saying, oh, we're giving the island back to Mauritius. This is very wrong, what he's saying.
They never had them in the first place.
It never had them in the first place.
That's what I thought.
So I'm just a little bit story about Mauritius. Mauritius being owned by the French, and as you know, as a British, when the Chagos were there, they all were a group of islands under British sovereignty. And remember, those people, the Mauritian people who claim in Chagos is for them, they were injured workers from India that Britain bring them to Mauritius to work in the sugarcane, right? How can you have the right to claim the island where my family was there for generations?
I have no idea how you are coping. Huge amounts of luck in Washington next week. Hopefully you can get some sense and some closure on this from Donald Trump, if you can't get it from your own Prime Minister in this country. That is Miss Lay Mandarin, is the First Minister of the Chagos Islands. Thank you so much, Miss Lay. A pleasure to talk to you. OK, now the Prime Minister is facing pressure to cancel the King's visit over Trump's Greenland threat and accusing Afghanistan soldiers of avoiding that frontline. Palace sources say the King and Queen Camilla are still expected to travel to America this spring to coincide with the 250th anniversary of US independence. But is it a good idea, or would a visit from the King perhaps change President Trump's mind? Well, joining us now is royal commentator Richard Fitzwilliams. Richard, good to see you. Again, another political mess between Keir Starmer and Donald Trump, a very, very fine line to tread politically. Can the King help in this, or should he actually, because of what Donald Trump said is so offensive and so upsetting, should he just not go on that state visit now?
Well, firstly, I mean, there's absolutely no doubt that Donald Trump's comments were abysmal. I mean, these were atrociously insensitive. The idea that NATO soldiers were not in the front line in Afghanistan is, of course, absolute rubbish. Not that that ever deterred him from making comments that were outrageous, bewildering, unprecedented, and all the rest of it. However, when it comes to talk, and there has been, of cancelling the state visit, but this was a reciprocal visit for President Trump's second state visit last year, I think that you have to look at it in a very, very different light. Firstly, if you are going to be flung from pillar to post with everything President Trump does or says, I mean, we had this crisis at Davos, the possibility even mooted that America might invade Greenland and so forth. You really have to look in the long term on this. The one consistent thing that I've observed is that President Trump has a great admirer of the royal family. Obviously, there's a special relationship, however stretched at the moment, between the United States and Britain. There is absolutely no question that Trump's been a consistent admirer of the royals for years, and this does seem to be one thing that we could at least rely on. You can't rely on him on tariffs, you can't rely possibly on him and when it comes to NATO, but it should be emphasized that American contributions to NATO are something like 2/3 of the overall expenditure. NATO, we rely on our defense for NATO. We simply need, firstly, the American connection. Secondly, obviously, there's a new world order taking place here, and sometimes far, far quicker than we would wish or we would like. But you have to handle things with a certain amount of dexterity and expertise with our European allies, but also, hopefully, with connections with the United States, which will be enduring in some form.
I mean, obviously, this is to celebrate the 250th anniversary of independence from the UK, which is obviously happening in April. And while Keir Starmer seems to have, at best, a problematic relationship with Donald Trump, and it is a very fine line he's got to tread politically, the King has the most amazing soft power that can maybe sort of, get through this horrible mess it's created with these comments about Afghanistan, but also pave the way for sorting out Greenland.
I think that one thing the King would be able to do in the state visit, and it will almost certainly go ahead, I mean, there is absolutely no doubt that if you want to enrage Donald Trump, cancel it. That really would be something to, that we find out possibly changes on trade deals, tariffs and so forth. You never know what's coming. But the King, you're quite right, the King has an opportunity during the state visit in various speeches, in the way he would privately relate to Donald Trump in various comments that we might not know or hear of. He can at least put a case. It's very important that we put our case. We have the use of soft power. It is absolutely unique. Our European allies don't have the same relationship, either in a special form or when it comes to the royal family. We must use what we've got whilst we look and see how, as Mark Carney was saying, Prime Minister of Canada, things would or might realign to the future. But there's also a question of spending more on defence, which we are currently only 0.2%, was diminutive. It's supposed to go up by next year. They've no idea how they're going to do it. So whilst you're so reluctant to spend money on defending yourself, and you expect the United States to manage the burden, be very, very careful who you enrage. Trump is completely unpredictable. It's perfectly obvious. But it's a very serious time. And, of course, with the war in Ukraine, with situation in Gaza and so forth, you don't know what's going to happen next, as we've just found out.
No. Richard, just quickly and finally, you have worked with the royal family for a very long time. You've covered them for a long time. When we have a situation like this develop that takes an awful lot of diplomacy, which I don't think is Keir Starmer's strong point at the moment, How will the King react? Do you think he'd just sort of like roll his eyes, roll up his sleeves and go to Camilla, oh, come on, love, let's go and sort this out?
Well, I think the King is someone who's extremely experienced, as we know, the longest-serving Prince of Wales in history, and he is by nature diplomatic, even if on architecture or the environment he's given some pretty forceful views. And I think his experience will be very helpful to any Prime Minister. So far as Sir Keir Starmer is concerned, I didn't think that the handling of that comment with reference to his attack on Trump and other veterans, saying that if he'd made the statement, he would have apologized. That's one way, just short of telling Donald Trump to apologize, which mightn't have gone down well. You're dealing with someone who's completely unpredictable. So he did the best in the circumstances. I think the King will undoubtedly back him up, but certainly the state visit at the moment anyway should definitely go ahead.
OK, Richard, thank you so much. That's royal commentator Richard Fitzwilliams there. OK, let us know what you think about that one. gbnews.com/your-say. We're relying on the royal family to sort out the political mess again. OK, now it's time for the Great British Giveaway, and you have just a few days left, indeed, to find out if you can become our biggest cash winner today. And it's an incredible £85,000 in tax-free cash. Here's how it could be yours.
It's the final week to see how you could become our biggest cash prize winner to date, as there's a simply stunning £85,000 in tax-free cash to be won. Go on that dream holiday, buy that brand new car, or just relax in the knowledge that the rest of the year could be on us. But you have to hurry, as lines close on Friday the 30th of January. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good luck. And it's tax-free as well. Fun now. Don't hold your breath though, Rachel. Might get to hear about it. No, enter. It could be yours. OK, I'm Daubney from GB News. Lots more coming up on today's show. Still no word on a promised U-turn on the pub business rates, as landlords warn rising costs are pushing local pubs to the brink. They could be completely extinct by 2050. Think about that one. Now, all of that and much more to come. This is GB News at Britain's News Channel. I'll see you very soon.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show Live, every night at midnight.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Bold.
They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hello, welcome back to the weekend with me, Dawn Neeson. Do you fancy going to the pub? Saturday lunchtime, why shouldn't we, eh? Now, pubs are indeed dying out and they are anxiously awaiting the details of the Chancellor's climb down on business rates. It was coming a couple of weeks ago, now it's coming again, and at some point she'll get round to it, while there's still some pubs left for us to go to. So, in any case, we've given Sophie Reaper an incredibly hard investigative journalism job of going to the pub. Sophie, how's it going?
Well, Dawn, it's a difficult job, but someone has to do it. And as you can see, for some bizarre reason, we've been here all morning at the 1B Tap here in Great Harwood, but now they've trusted me to come behind the bar. Now, we are, as promised, going to have a go at pulling a pint. It's my first ever time pulling a cask ale pint, so don't judge me too harshly. But, of course, a pint of beer or lager is such a staple image. When we think of a pub, we think of a pint, don't we? This is Kelly, who is the landlady here at the 1B Tap. Now, to demonstrate the pint, I'm going to give it a pull. But while I'm doing so, I'm going to pass you the microphone. I want you to tell our viewers at home and Dawn in the studio about all the things that we might not think about when we think about a pint of beer, all the things that go into running a pub like this one. So I'll hand you the microphone. You tell us while I have a go at this. Don't judge me too harshly, Dawn.
Amazing. So obviously people don't take into effect that the energy costs and the raw material costs, also the packaging, overheads and the tax hikes. So when we're pulling a pint of beer, we have to think about the cost that's gone into making the beer and the rises in that. We also have to think about the overheads, the staff, the electrics which are plumbed in to pouring a pint. This obviously is very astronomical to pubs because if it increases, we're therefore going to have to put that onto the consumer, making the pint of beer more expensive.
Now, I'll take that back from you. I think we can see. Now, some people at home might think that's not a very good pint, but you've told me, because it's cask ale, that this is slowly going to work up. Everyone in the pub's having a good look at this now. I'm here in my ear. I'm being told it's not bad, that, so I'll take it for my first time. Now, it's a difficult time for pubs, this. As you were mentioning there, all of these overhead costs that you've got. You actually said to me earlier about the situation that several of your friends have found themselves in the last year. Just talk to us a bit about that.
Yes, so 5 of my friends have, unfortunately, had to come out the industry due to the rising costs because they're in rural areas where their business rates are being affected. They can't afford then to put the prices up for the consumer because they lose the trade and then therefore they've had to shut.
Such a scary time, isn't it? Now, of course, we're waiting on the government to come back and let us know about this potential announcement that we're waiting on here. And, of course, in November at the budget, Rachel Reeves said that she was going to scrap the business relief that came in during the pandemic era. But I know for landlords like yourself, that caused huge panic, didn't it? Just talk to us a bit about why that was and what we're hoping that this announcement is going to be and what it's going to do for our pubs.
Yeah, I think it'll relieve a lot of people and pressure to know that the growth and the industry can continue. If there isn't a U-turn made, it's going to affect many of us, seeing lots of closures. It needs a new infrastructure so that we are treated fairly in the hospitality sector and not being penalised and punished due to cost effects of obviously the raw materials going up, the packaging, everything that I discussed earlier.
Now, of course, at the start of January, a very difficult month, we have to say, for our pubs, January, isn't it, because of dry January and people going on diets. But at the start of January, Rachel Reeves said we should expect an announcement in the next few days. Then yesterday, she said we should expect an announcement in the next few days. If you had a message for the Chancellor, what would that message be?
Well, the message is quite loud and clear. We need an answer, like, imminently. We're sick of waiting. We're tired of not knowing where we stand. We're in tenterhooks because it's putting us under pressure daily to meet the criteria to keep our doors open. So it really, really needs to happen sooner rather than later.
Kelly, thanks so much for joining us this afternoon, and thank you for having us here at the 1B Tap. Now, it's not the greatest pint in the world, Dawn, but I think for a first attempt, it's not too bad. I'm sure someone on here is going to drink it anyway. So there we go. We'll take a bit of that.
Sophie, thank you so much. And lots of people are saying, actually, for your first attempt, that's not too bad at all. So I think you deserve to have a quick mouthful of it yourself. Thank you, Sophie Reefer there. And thanks very much to Landlady Kelly as well. That's saving our pubs, which we are very, very keen on doing here, personally and professionally at GB News. OK, I'm Dawn Newsroom. This is indeed GB News, and there's lots more coming up on today's show. But first, let's get the latest... Right, OK, we are just waiting to go to the news headline. But do let us know what you think about all we're talking about today, gbnews.com/yoursay. In particular, the pub situation. I mean, if you have worked in a pub, it's one of the best jobs I ever had, to be honest with you. And I don't think Sophie was doing too bad a job there. But if pubs, 500 pubs have closed since Labour came into power, and they are closing at the rate of several a day. And if we carry on at this rate, pubs will be extinct by the year 2050. Now, this isn't... We're laughing with Sophie there about putting that pint, aren't we? But pubs are about so much more than that. When I used to work in a pub as a barmaid, it used to be a community hub for lots of old, lonely people that lived in the local council estate around there. And you would get old boys and girls coming in, and they would sit there and they would nurse half a pint for hours, but they would be warm, they would have company, and that's what pubs are about. It's part of our culture, and we really can't afford to lose it. OK, much more on pubs coming up after the news headlines with Bethany Elsing.
Running in the Gorton and Denton by-election, saying it should be up to him and local members. The Prime Minister has been forced to withdraw his Chagos Islands bill, which would see the territory handed back to Mauritius. It's after Donald Trump described the deal as an act of great stupidity. The White House has doubled down on Donald Trump's comments, saying US contributions to NATO dwarf that of other allies, something Sir Keir Starmer described as insulting and asked for an apology. Ukraine's capital faced heavy attacks from Russia overnight, leaving 1 dead, more than 15 injured, and hundreds of thousands without power. And ministers will be given new powers to intervene in failing police forces in England and Wales after a row over West Midlands Police's Maccabi Tel Aviv fan ban, which led to the retirement of its chief constable. Those are the headlines for now. More for you at 2 o'clock.
Thank you, Bethany, and let me know all your thoughts on all the stories we're discussing today, whether it's pubs or Trump or the Chagos Islands or that special relationship that doesn't actually appear to be that special between us and America anymore. Really easy to get in touch, gbnews.com/yoursay. Join in the conversation, and the tech-minded amongst you can scan the QR code thingy as well. And I promise I will read as many out as I possibly can as the show goes on. So do keep them coming, because there's lots more coming up on the show, including, you're going to love this one, I know, a debate on anxious young people as ministers are accused of parking a generation on benefits instead of helping them into work. But what about the older people, I hear asked? Are we just raising a generation that aren't as robust as their elders? All of that and much more to come. I'm Dawn Newsroom, and this is GB News at Britain's News Channel. I'll see you very soon.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. A wet and windy day on offer at times in parts of the west with some Met Office warnings in force, but the good news is there will be some brighter spells at times. Now, why has it been so wet and windy recently? Well, it's all thanks to low pressure moving in from the Atlantic, and through today we'll see it continuously swirl around across parts of the southwest. So a wet and windy day on offer across parts of Wales, southwest England, and some strong gusty winds could create some large waves, and persistent rain could lead to some localised flooding. Later on, this rain will start to push into parts of Northern Ireland, also some spells of rain across the far northeast of Scotland, this likely turning to hill snow at times, but elsewhere mostly dry, a mix of patchy cloud and some brighter spells, maybe even some sunny spells across parts of the southeast later. Now, through the course of the evening, we'll continue to see these bands of rain push into parts of south and southwest England, parts of Wales as well, and eventually drifting into parts of Northern Ireland. Still quite persistent and heavy at times. A rain warning has been issued for Northern Ireland through the overnight period. Still continuous spells of rain across the far northeast of Scotland and likely falling as snow towards higher ground. Now, through the overnight period, once again, it's going to be mostly cloudy, and we'll still continue to see spells of rain and showers, still fairly gusty around western coast too, but overall winds will be largely easing away. And with cloud and the added breeze, that should hopefully be holding temperatures up as we head towards Sunday morning. So mostly in the mid-single figures, but where we see any clearer skies in any sheltered spots, we could see more towards freezing. Now, heading into Sunday, it is going to be another unsettled day, some clouds, some spells of rain. We'll see an initial drier spell at first across parts of the southwest before a secondary band of rain starts to move through. Perhaps some brighter spells later across Northern Ireland, and remaining mostly dry across East Anglia and the very far southeast, and temperatures around about average for the time of year.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good. Neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
We can allow.
Stop.
You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
only on GB News.
Hello, welcome back to the weekend with me, Dawn Neeson. Thank you so much for your company this afternoon. Really loving chatting to you all. Now, this is going to annoy you, because I know it annoys me. A warning this morning that Britain could be writing off a whole generation of young people. Labour's work czar says anxiety and depression are being used to park under 25s on benefits, while governments prioritise pensions over youth jobs and training. So we're asking, who should the government focus on? Let's have a heated debate. Remember that, shall we? OK, so joining me to discuss this is political commentator from Young Voices UK, get what he does there, Ted Newsroom, and director of Silver Voices, get what he does, Dennis Reed. OK, let's come to you first, Ted. Lay out the defence for young people. Convince me you're not all a bit wussy.
Of course. Well, let's look at the stats, first of all. Over a quarter of pensioners are millionaires. There's over £300 billion a year spent on the welfare bill that's expected to go up because predominantly of old people in both the state pension and in NHS bills, which you know the majority of are for old people. And this is at a time where over 1 million 16 to 24-year-olds aren't in education, they're not in training, they're not in work. And it's not because they're useless people. It's because the economic circumstances and the amount of tax that we're having to pay to fund these bills are anti-business. These businesses can't hire young people. They can't experiment with young talent. They're well qualified, but there's just not the jobs because we need the tax revenue to pay for the elderly.
OK, Dennis, you're all spoilt millionaires. Triple lock should be abolished straight away, and you've had an entire life of just being, you know, easy, on easy street.
I wish, Dawn, I really do wish that was the case. There's been just as many struggles of older people as there is for younger people now, to be honest. I mean, I don't doubt that younger people, there is difficulties for younger people, and I think it's been a disgrace that youth services and community services have been hollowed out over the last decade or so, and there hasn't been the investment in younger people. I would agree with that. But on the other hand, I think that Ted is falling into the classic trap of when things are tight, politicians like to put one group against the other. And I don't think that this intergenerational war is a farce. It just doesn't stand up. Most people recognise that when you retire, you should be able to retire with some dignity. And, you know, this thing about a quarter of us are millionaires, again, I very much wish that was the case. These are really faulty statistics, and a lot of it is based on notional house prices and so on. And, you know, millionaires in terms of income amongst older people are no different from city traders, young city traders, etc., who are well off. The majority of older people are struggling with the cost of living, just like the majority of younger people are. That's the reality. Yes, there should be more investment in youngsters, but no, it shouldn't be taken from pensions, which are already pretty low.
Ted?
Well, I think we need to have a look at who we give the triple lock pension to. And at the moment, it's across the board. In 2025, the triple lock pension went up by over 4%. This was despite a backdrop of less than 1% growth in the economy. So even by that metric, it's unsustainable. And then you look at the people who's getting it. Granted, not everyone is a kind of millionaire pensioner, but at the same time, millionaire pensioners are able to claim the state pension. They can sideline their often very generous private pensions while living only off of the state, when ultimately they shouldn't be doing that at all. They've had their entire life to make money. They've got an awful lot of money saved, as we can see. And that state pension that's going to them really would be better spent being put towards youth training programs or cutting tax on business to get people into work and firms hiring.
Dennis, it's all your fault that young people are suffering. What are you going to do about it?
Well, I mean, to be honest, that's nonsense. And I think that Ted is just parroting some of the anti-pensioner stuff that's around at the moment. I wonder whether Ted knows what the state pension for most older people is going to be next April, or this coming April rather, as a result of the triple lock increase. If he doesn't know immediately, it's £185 a week. After triple lock increases over the last few years, it's only £185 a week for the old state pension. Now, I'm not knocking younger people at all, but the living wage for 18 to 20-year-olds, if you do get work and you work a 35-hour week on the living wage at that age, you get £380 a week. £185 a week state pension is about half of that. I mean, that shows the reality. It's all very well to talk about percentage increases through the triple lock, but a percentage of not very much is not very much. And that's the reality that most older people face. And also, there hasn't been the investment in older people at all over the last couple of decades. Just look at the crumbling state of social care. Hundreds of thousands, millions of older people not getting the social care support that they need. There needs to be investment in the old and the young. And it's stupid to try and put one group against the other.
Ted, could you survive on £185 a week?
It'd be very tricky. But I think the main issue we're getting at here is over the last 14 years of Conservative government, and this is as a right-winger, the Conservatives have focused on protecting the triple lock for pensioners because they know that pensioners are the ones voting for them. There's an overdiagnosis of mental health problems in this country, which is stopping people from getting work and getting people wanting kind of pushed into the benefits trap. Yes, I accept that. But at the same time, it's too easy for young people to stay unemployed once they leave school. Like I say, there's 1 million 16 to 24-year-olds who aren't doing anything at the moment. And that's not going to get any better by handing out money willy-nilly to pensioners that don't deserve it. And I agree with you. A large majority of the pensioners you're talking about need the money. It's not enough. But they've had 40, 50, 60 years of work to save. So many pensioners have big private pensions, and to sacrifice my future for the rest of a pensioner's life who already has £1 million tucked away, it's unfair.
Dennis, you want to check behind your sofa cushions for that £1 million you've got tucked away there?
Well, I really do wish that I had that. I mean, Ted is talking a load of gobbledygook, and I think he actually probably knows that knows that he is. Look, 80% of pensioners in an independent survey said they were worried about heating their homes this winter. That's the reality of the situation facing most people. Of course, there's some rich pensioners, and of course, there's some rich younger people as well. But that is not. You can't base an argument based on a very tiny majority, which is what Ted is trying to do. There needs to be investment. Yes, I agree with Ted in youngsters. I'm not sure about the overdiagnosis on mental health, by the way, but that's his opinion on that. But on the other hand, don't fall into the trap of just bashing older people when we're only on, most of us, a very low state pension.
OK, gentlemen, thank you both so much. It was a very, very civilised debate across the generation gap there. Very good points from both of you. Thank you so much. That's political commentator from Young Voices UK, Ted Newson, and director of Silver Voices, Dennis Reed. I thought they both had good arguments there. Let me know what you think. gbnews.com/your say. OK, I'm Dawn Neeson. This is GB News. There's lots more coming up on today's show. Reaction to that Traitors final. No, me neither, but lots of people did. But if you are in search of some holiday sun, here's a forecast for those top European destinations for you.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean All Clear Skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Hello, are you heading away this weekend? Storm Ingrid is bringing some very unsettled weather to Portugal and Spain. It's pretty wet and windy elsewhere too. The Canary Islands, though, still seeing plenty of dry weather, not especially warm, however. Very wet weather into Spain and Portugal, and some unsettled weather, thunderstorms across parts of Italy as well as the Balkans. It does look drier, though, towards Greece for the weekend. That wet weather will push eastwards later, though. Bye-bye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
Agree with me that that's had some kind of impact on what's gone on today, that defeat at Macclesfield, because that was a hell of a loss.
It probably was the final straw for Oliver, really. I think I thought really from pre-season, Aidan, that he wasn't happy. He didn't get the players he wanted in. He was going to lose Guy at some stage. Mateta might go now, and then Wharton, they're all talking about. I think he just thinks after the Macclesfield thing, this is the best time for me. And I can't see him staying there. I think Steve Parish will be looking after himself now and looking at what he can do to rectify it. And it wouldn't surprise me if he leaves in the next few weeks, really, because once your mind's made up to go, Aidan, it's very difficult for the dressing room. The lads who aren't in the team, will be quite pleased that he's going. And it causes eruptions, really. And, like I say, it didn't surprise me. When I was there, it was like extracting teeth in the summer, getting a player in. You just couldn't get them in. Honestly, it was a nightmare. And I could tell with his interviews in pre-season, he wasn't very happy. So it doesn't surprise me at all. And it's a fabulous club as well.
You mentioned the dressing room there, Neil. Now, I've known you many, many years now. I can just imagine your reaction if you qualify for something as magnificent as the Europa League, first time in the club's history, but you weren't able to go there because of a clerical error, effectively. How annoyed would Oliver Glasner have been, do you feel?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, for a club like Crystal Palace to qualify is unbelievable. And you know, to beat Man City, you're on a high.
GB News, the People's Channel.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, this is Jubes & Co with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here to GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello. Oh, there you are. Welcome back to the weekend with me, Daubney. I've just been having a girly moment in the studio bonding over boots. We'll put the pictures out for you later. Now, spoiler alert, OK, the Traitors had delivered a jaw-dropping finale with deception, loyalty and heartbreak right up to the very last vote. Two traitors went all the way, splitting the cash after outsmarting the faithfuls and one another. Viewers were left on the edge of their seats in what's being described as a bloodthirsty and stressful programme full of surprises. So I'm joined now by the wonderful, the gorgeous, and she's got some fabulous boots as well, Stephanie Tetchy. Thank you so much for coming in.
It was nail-biting stuff. It was worth the viewing. It was like, there's so many reality TV shows out at the moment, but there's something about the Traitors where they've just got the formula right. It's not about gossip or anything. It's about how can you trust your instincts. And I feel so naughty, but I was so Team Stephen and Team Rachel yesterday.
These are the two that won.
The two
traitors,
they definitely outsmart the other 20 contestants. I think watching it last night, you thought, no, are they even going to, you know, betray one another? And they didn't. And there's such a sad story, especially for Rachel, who won. She wanted the money to help her mother, who's got Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. So for that, I was like, you know what, I'm Team Rachel. She was the first woman as well to get to the final of Traitors. Wow. So I was like, Team Girl, go. But it's just been a fascinating series. Over 12 million people watched. Wow. And that is how gripping this show has been.
See, that doesn't happen on TV at the moment, does it? I mean, that's old school TV before we had all the streaming services.
Yeah, and it just goes to show how they've got this formula right for this show, whether you're a faithful, whether you're a traitor, and it just has people gripped. It's not celebrities, it's normal people who want to give it a go. But the thing about going on that show, you end up becoming a celebrity. Today I was reading the calls have already been coming for Rachel. We're going to be seeing more of her on screen. Apparently, Stephen's quit his day job. They only won £47,000. Still a lot of money, but I'm sure all the ads are going to be coming in now and all the sponsors are going to be coming in for both of them.
Now, I've never watched it. I didn't watch this series, but I did watch the celebrity one.
Yeah.
There just seemed too many people in this one, like 22 people. Yeah. But the celebrity one, there's another celebrity one coming back as well.
There is. It's going to be coming back in the autumn. And again, I think that is just going to be gripping viewing. And to be honest, I think most people prefer being traitors these days. They just seem to have a bit more fun.
Well, the traitors do seem to win an awful lot of the time as well.
They
so
do.
what is that sending?
But I'm just saying, what does it say about the faithfuls as well? Like, they were just banishing one another throughout the whole series. I think it pays to be a traitor.
Is it? We're all too trusting. Now, there's one other show I want to quickly talk to you about, because the headline caught me, as it would use, in the Telegraph today. A man might die live on TV tomorrow. Will you be watching?
Oh, my gosh, I'm going to have to watch. Curiosity is going to kill this cat. But for Alex Honnold, he is a rock climber who is going to be scaling up a building in Taipei, and it's 1,667 feet tall. He's not going to be doing it with no ropes, nothing. It's literally just going to be a free climbing. He says he might die. Obviously, Netflix have just said this is going to be streamed live on TV, but it's risky business. It was supposed to be happening today, but because of the weather, he can't do it. And he's said it in interviews. He says, I might die, but it seems like he's OK with it. It's all for the thrill of climbing. I think, you know, there's a lot of things you can do in the name of entertainment, but I definitely think that this is pushing the boundaries.
Free climbing, that's amazing. Stephanie, thank you so much. Dawn. As always, a brilliant. I'm Daubney. This is GB News. Lots more coming up on today, so don't you dare move a muscle. But we've just talked about the weather, haven't we? If you're going out climbing, here's the forecast you might need.
Today, clouds overhead. Total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good afternoon. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. For the rest of the weekend, it's often going to be cloudy. We will still see some spells of rain and temperatures around average for this time of the year. Why has it been so wet recently? Well, it's all thanks to low pressure continuously coming in from the west, swirling around across the west and southwest of the country. So this means at times this evening we'll continue to see some spells of rain, particularly across southwest England, southern parts of Wales, and also some fairly persistent outbreaks of rain across Northern Ireland later. Briefly turning a little bit drier across parts of the southwest before another heavy band of rain starts to move through. Most areas will see some spells of rain overnight, and this likely falling as hill snow across parts of Scotland. Still fairly breezy as we head into Sunday morning, but winds generally easing off. So that means many areas starting off the day around the mid-single figures. So another wet start across parts of southwest England, eventually rain moving into southern Wales. Elsewhere, a mix of cloud and also some patchy rain. Similar across Northern Ireland, northern parts of England, we will see some patchy rain at times, and this still likely falling as snow across the Scottish Highlands, perhaps a little bit drier towards the far north of Scotland, away from any showers across the Northern Isles. And for most on Sunday, it is going to be a fairly unsettled day, mostly cloudy with continuous spells of rain, perhaps starting to turn a little bit brighter across Northern Ireland later, mostly dry across East Anglia and southeast England, but even here still fairly cloudy. And temperatures are around average for this time of the year, but it's likely feeling quite chilly under the cloud and any spells of rain, and particularly chilly around the eastern breeze across any eastern coastal areas. Now into the evening, more cloud to come, some spells of rain, but through the early hours of Monday, most cloud clearing away. So it's likely a chillier start heading into the new working week with some sunshine, but that's before more wind and rain arriving later on Monday and possibly leading to some more Met Office warnings later in the week.
Today, clouds overhead. Total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's the final week to see how you can become our biggest cash prize winner to date, as there's a simply stunning £85,000 in tax-free cash to be won. Go on that dream holiday, buy that brand new car, or just relax in the knowledge that the rest of the year could be on us. But you have to hurry, as lines close on Friday the 30th of January. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, it's 2 o'clock on Saturday, the 24th of January, and this is the weekend on GB News. A packed final hour together, I'm sad already. A fresh climb down from Sir Keir Starmer. The Chagos Islands bill pulled from the Lords amid mounting US pressure and fierce criticism from President Trump.
Consider President Trump's remarks to be insulting and frankly appalling.
And as you just heard, Keir Starmer hit back at President Trump, defending Britain's veterans after Trump claimed that NATO troops held back in Afghanistan, with Prince Harry also weighing in on that one. And that's after the US president said NATO forces did indeed stay back from the front lines during the war. So is the special relationship, let's be honest, it never was it? Not for a long time, now under more strain.
Next week, I will set out the most significant reforms to policing this country has seen in 200 years. Let me tell you why. Across the country, there is an epidemic of everyday crime.
Feeling safe, are you? Ministers are set to gain new powers to sack failing chief constables as the Home Secretary unveils the biggest overhaul of policing in generations. Meanwhile, reform reshuffle looming with Robert Jenrick, yes, him again, set to become Nigel Farage's shadow chancellor as the party lines up its top team ahead of those local elections in May, if you're allowed to vote, obviously. We'll speak to the party's head of policy, Zia Youssef, live soon. And we are, of course, heading to the pub because it's a Saturday afternoon, why wouldn't we? And landlords warn Labour's tax plans are pushing them to the brink, with ministers now signalling a possible U-turn on those punishing pub rates.
Well, last year, more than one pub every single day closed their doors, with more than 500 forecast to do the same this coming year. So landlords all over the United Kingdom hoping for some kind of respite from the government.
I'm Dawn Newsome, and this is indeed The Weekend. Now, I am painfully aware that lots of you have been sending messages in and I haven't read as many out as I possibly should be doing, so apologies for that, but it's been such a packed show, so busy, but I'm going to make it up to you this hour. I'm going to read as many out as I possibly can, so whatever you want to talk about, whether it's Trump, Chagos Islands, traitors, up to you, entirely up to you, or pubs. Get in touch, let me know, gbnews.com/your say, and I read, I promise, as many out as I possibly can. So, or you can do the code thingy on your screen as well. I don't understand how that works, I'm too old for that sort of thing. OK, but before we get stuck into today's stories, let's get the latest news headlines with, it's Bethany, and here she is.
Dawn, thank you. Good afternoon. Your top stories from the GB Newsroom at 2:03. Labour's Deputy Leader Lucy Powell says the Gorton and Denton by-election could be one of the most consequential of this Parliament. The Labour Mayor of Manchester, Andy Burnham, has until 5 p.m. this afternoon to decide whether he wants to stand as a candidate. If he won the seat, it would pave the way for a leadership challenge against Sir Keir Starmer. As a ruling mayor, he needs permission from the National Executive Committee to run, but several MPs, including Angela Rayner, have warned against blocking him. Lucy Powell was speaking at a conference in the Northwest.
Andy Burnham is incredibly popular in my part of the world. He is an incredibly popular politician because he is really changing our city for the better and delivering on those Labour values. And I think we should all come together and really celebrate where Labour's doing some great work. So it should be up to Andy and the local members who will select their candidate. And our members are very discerning and they're good at making their own mind up.
The Prime Minister has been forced to withdraw his Chagos Islands bill, which would see the territory handed back to Mauritius. The legislation was due to be debated in the House of Lords on Monday, but that's been delayed after Conservatives warned it could violate a 60-year-old treaty with the US that enshrines British sovereignty over the islands. The move comes after Donald Trump turned against the deal earlier this week, describing it as an act of great stupidity. The White House has doubled down on Donald Trump's comments that troops from NATO allies did not serve on the front line in Afghanistan. It insists America's contributions to NATO dwarf that of other countries. This is despite the Prime Minister publicly criticising the remarks, describing them as insulting and appalling, as well as demanding an apology from the President. Prince Harry, who served in Afghanistan, also condemned Trump's comments, saying British soldiers and their sacrifices deserve to be spoken about truthfully and with respect. Ukraine's capital has come under what the mayor has described as a massive attack overnight, leaving hundreds of thousands without power or heating. Explosions were heard in Kyiv and Kharkiv, with authorities reporting at least one person has been killed and 15 others injured. The latest attack comes after the first direct talks between Ukraine and Russia on the US plan to end the war. Talks are continuing in Abu Dhabi today. The government says ministers will be given new powers to intervene in failing police forces in England and Wales. It's after a row over West Midlands Police's decision to ban Israeli football fans from a match in Birmingham last year. It led to the retirement of the Chief Constable, Craig Guildford. Current legislation which prevents ministers from intervening directly will be changed, with the Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, saying police forces should be held accountable to Parliament and the public. Measures will be announced on Monday. And the NHS is launching the world's first database which patients can search to see if they're at risk of developing cancer. The register contains 120 genes known to increase the likelihood of getting cancer and is part of a 10-year plan to improve prevention and treatment of the disease. The charity Breast Cancer Now says it has the potential to transform lives. You're up to date. I'll have more for you at 12:30.
You can now watch GB News live across the United States of America and the world on Truth Plus. Scan the QR code to find out more or visit gbnews.com/truth.
Thank you very much, Bethany. I love working with Bethany at weekends. It's so nice in the studio. Just a bit of girl power going on here. OK, let's get stuck into today's topics. The last hour together. I'm sorry, I know, I'm going to miss you already. Our top story, the Chagos deal has been put on pause as the Prime Minister announced he's withdrawing the bill following backlash from Washington. The bill was meant to be debated in the Lords on Monday, but has been pushed into the long grass following President Trump's comments this week that the deal was a great stupidity. A Labour source in the Lords said Donald Trump's remarks had no bearing on the decision to reschedule the bill for another day at all. I'm sure it maybe didn't, but I'm not entirely convinced, are you? So is it a bold move for the Prime Minister? Or is he sort of listening to Donald Trump about the stupidity of this? Because many of you, and I certainly can't understand what the hell's going on with it. And where does this leave the special relationship? And indeed, more importantly, where does it leave the people of the Chagos Islands? Well, joining us now in the studio is Chagosian lead Friends of the British Overseas Territories, Vanessa Kalu. Vanessa, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Really good to see you.
Thank you.
What do you make of this bill actually being delayed, pushed back, whatever the language they're currently using about it?
This bill, for Keir Starmer, he will stay in his agenda. He just posed it to be able to search anything to push that bill forward, because he wants to give a British homeland to a foreign country, Mauritius, plus use UK taxpayer, your money our money that we pay for tax, all the British people money to give away for no reason to a foreign country, for that country, Mauritius, to pay their debt to China and to India. That is unfair and is really, I'm really upset for that.
Now, I was talking to Vanessa during the break here, and Vanessa, you said you don't get angry, you try not to get angry.
Yes.
But I can hear it in your voice, how frustrated you are with this situation. How badly do you think the people of the Chagos Islands have been let down by not just this government, but the previous government?
For the previous government, normally they fail by started the negotiation. The government from James Cleverly, he was wrong. He started a negotiation. If you know that the island is yours, why you negotiate for it? It belongs to Britain. The people of the Chagos Island is British, and they told you they are British, they want the island to remain British. Why you go forward to do a negotiation at the first place? We are upset about that. And then they stopped the negotiation for the another people, they ended, and then Labour taking power, and we negotiate. So we don't understand what's going on, because this island belongs to Britain, and the people have a voice, have a self-determination. In 1960 to 1970, Labour Party forcibly removed my parent, my ancestor, forcibly, and just dumped them in Mauritius. And they've been living in poverty until now, that they don't have any choice to flee Mauritius to come to UK. When we started living, even not great, but we started living, but we want to go back to our island. This is what we want. And unfortunately, the government is not respecting our right of self-determination, and they are not listening. They have an agenda, and they keep doing the agenda. At the same time, they were not mandated to do such thing, because you can't give a sovereignty like this. You will need to have an opinion of the public in general, the British people who vote to put those governments on power, on office. They fail the public of Britain, and for me, Keir Starmer is acting, and everyone who follows Keir Starmer is acting as a traitor, and there will be consequences.
And do you have more faith in Donald Trump, that he could sort the situation out for you?
I always have hope that Donald Trump will do at the end, try to save Chagos. But I'm not Donald Trump, but the way that I see and analyze the situation is not Donald Trump Island. It's for Brighton, it's for the people, the British people, homeland. It's Sagosian homeland. Donald Trump has a military base who are really strategic for the world, and is really important for the friendship of UK-US military base. This is really important for us as British people to feel secure and protected, because we have a strategic military base. In case anything happens around the world, we know we have a military base who can protect us. But at the moment, Keir Starmer is weakening this friendship with the President Donald Trump. And I'm sure the President is not trusting our First Minister, our Prime Minister. Everything he's doing, he had 14 U-turn already.
Yeah, this would be 15, yes.
And that one, this is the 15 U-turn. It's time that Keir Starmer give what British people is demanding, a general election. Do it now, 2026.
Very strong words indeed, Vanessa. I hope they are listening to you, and very, very passionate there. Thank you very much. That is Vanessa Kalu there. Very passionately talking about her homeland, which has been ignored. But we care about the people in Greenland and their democratic rights, as we should do. What about the democratic rights of the people of the Chagos Islands? That's the interesting question there, isn't it? Vanessa, thank you so much.
Thank you.
OK, now, Reform have a new sheriff in town. well, a potential new Chancellor, as recent Tory defector Robert Jenrick is set to assume the new role, pipping rivals to the post. Zia Youssef, Reform's policy chief, is expected to become Home Affairs spokesman, and the Deputy Leader, Richard Tice, is likely to be given a new portfolio combining the energy and business briefs. But with rumours the role of Chancellor would go to Nigel Farage's right-hand man, Richard Tice, has Robert Jenrick jumped out of the fire and into the frying pan by causing tensions in Reform? Joining us now to put the rumours to rest is Head of Policy UK, Reform UK, Zia Youssef. Zia, thank you so much for joining us. I know you're very, very busy this weekend. So many questions to ask you. Right, let's cut straight to the chase on this one. Has Robert Jenrick nicked your job?
Well, firstly, let me correct what you just said there. We're not rivals, myself, Richard and Robert. We're on the same team. We are very much working towards not just basically beating the Conservative Party to be the primary centre-right party in this country, but of course making Nigel Farage our Prime Minister. You know, here's the other really important thing. There's going to be obviously far more people that we're going to need in a Reform cabinet. You know, some of those people GB News viewers will be familiar with. Some of those people Nigel will present those people to the people of this country in the coming months and years. So look, I just want to be crystal clear with regards to these reports. Nigel will make those decisions in his own good times. Of course, people are going to speculate all sorts of things. But, you know, I speak to Robert, I speak to Richard almost every day. We're very, very excited about Reform's position. Nigel continues to be the bookmakers' favourite to be the next Prime Minister, but we can't take anything for granted. We've got to keep working to get our message out there to the people of Britain and work really hard, because a lot of people, millions of people, are relying on Reform, on Nigel, on all of us really, to not just win the next general election, but also to do them proud. So a lot of this stuff about, you know, rivalry and tensions, I can just tell you, this is very Tory-coded stuff. I'm actually quite enjoying, I'll be honest, it's an interesting feeling seeing Robert Jenrick go after the Tories, and for me to no longer necessarily always be at the vanguard of that battle. I'm quite enjoying it.
Yes, indeed. What do you make of the spat he had with Kemi Badenoch this week with our... with the release of the WhatsApp messages, and, you know, there's a special place in hell for you, Robert Jenrick?
All Robert did was respond to the claim from Kemi Badenoch that he was lying. And let's put all of this into context, right? So Robert wrote an article, I think it was in the Daily Mail, saying that Britain should stop spending such ridiculous amounts on foreign aid and start investing that money in things that actually directly benefit the British people. That is not controversial. That's just common sense. I mean, the Tories spent north of £260 billion on foreign aid and related activities adjusted for inflation. Think what we could have done with that money. And instead of taking that seriously, he obviously got a volley of abuse, and then Kemi Badenoch called him a liar. If you say that, then I think Robert would be doing himself and frankly Reform a disservice if he didn't basically provide receipts, which he has now done.
But he did, playing devil's advocate here, he did have a go at Camilla Tominey of The Telegraph for releasing private WhatsApp messages. He said she shouldn't have done that, and then he goes and does the same thing.
Well, look, I mean, firstly, I think there is fundamentally a difference between... look, first of all, everyone is entitled to do whatever they want in that respect, as long as you're not breaking the law, right? I think the point people were making with regards to a journalist, you know, I know Camilla, I have a lot of respect for her. People can make their own decisions about that. I think, in the end, Robert was being assailed by the official leader of the opposition as a liar in the national press. And I think if that happens, I think you'd be foolish to not... actually correct the record, because it's actually really important that British people understand what it is we are dealing with in the Tory party. And look, Robert has obviously got a lot of experience of that. The reason he has joined us, and I've spent a lot of time with Robert now since he joined us. I had dinner with him again the other night. This is, again, I keep saying this is a thoughtful man who really knows better than anyone actually in Reform, in terms of first-hand experience of these characters, how much the Tories did to betray the British people. And I hope people can already see how dedicated he is to making sure that they never get a chance to do that again, but of course, most importantly, making Nigel Farage our next Prime Minister.
So, Zia, if you were going to use the phrase yourself, there's a special place in hell for you, which politician would you aim it at?
Even I, given the extremely diplomatic sort of person that I am, as you know, I wouldn't necessarily use such language. Look, I want to make the point here, though, that all of these comments were in response to Robert Jenrick having the temerity to say, actually spending tens of billions of pounds a year of British taxpayers' money on virtue signalling projects abroad is not in British people's interest. Let me give you an example in terms of just one example on how morally repugnant foreign aid is currently in this country. So Welsh 15-year-olds currently underperform Turkish 15-year-olds in the global PISA rankings, right? The global education rankings. And in fact, Welsh 15-year-olds, tragically, actually perform lower than the OECD average. Let me say that again. Welsh 15-year-olds perform lower than the OECD average in the PISA rankings. That is unacceptable. It is shameful. And you know what? We've spent hundreds of millions of pounds on foreign aid to Turkey. People watching this program who paid their taxes have been hundreds of millions have been sent to Turkey, and Turkish 15-year-olds are outperforming Welsh 15-year-olds. That is just one example. Look, should Britain one day aspire to be able to have a foreign aid budget? Yes, at some point when we're a prosperous, powerful country on the world stage. And here's the other thing. You often hear Tories, Lib Dems, Labour say, no, we need this foreign aid money because it gives us soft power. Again, north of £200 billion shipped abroad in terms of foreign aid over the last couple of decades. Does Britain feel more powerful on the world stage? Do we feel prouder? Do we feel like we have more influence? Quite the opposite. I also want to just address this Chagosian thing, because I don't know if it's really sunk in for everybody that Nigel Farage has just managed one of the most extraordinary diplomatic interventions for somebody who isn't actually in the government in my lifetime. He has managed to stop this awful Chagos bill from going through as a result of his dinner with Scott Bessent. And I'm just telling you what's already in the reports from James Hill at The Spectator. He's managed to stop it. He's managed to stop the ceding a British sovereign territory for no valid reason whatsoever, and then, of course, paying billions of pounds to get it back. There are huge security issues, not just for Britain, but obviously for America. This is one of the most important Western military bases, right? One of the, it's used for really important stuff with submarines, long-range missiles. And so it really is critical. And obviously, Mauritius has very deep and close ties with China. We know there's lots of issues there with Labour already. So I think it's really important people take a pause for a moment and just really give Nigel the credit he deserves. As I said, I think it's the most extraordinary diplomatic intervention on behalf of the interests of the British people from someone who isn't actually in government. So imagine what he will be able to do, not just when he's in government, but when he's the Prime Minister of this country.
You are a great salesman, Zia Youssef. I have to give you that much. Do you think the Chagos deal has been kicked into touch completely, or it will come back, or...?
Well, all we can do, listen, I would not assume that this has gone completely, right? We know Keir Starmer is desperate, as are many people inside the Labour Party, to cede that sovereign territory. Your guest put it extremely eloquently. She used the word treacherous. I would use that word. There is no logical reason at all for a country like Britain to be ceding that sovereign territory and then leasing it back, especially when you have these huge security concerns in China looming in the background. So we cannot be complacent, but it is a great day, and we should take a moment to give Nigel credit for that. But we can't be complacent. We've got to continue to fight this.
OK, we are running out of time, Zia. Just want to ask you quickly, what would be your ideal job in a shadow cabinet? Because, Reform are doing incredibly well in the polls. You are going to be forming a shadow cabinet at some point very soon by the time. Shadow Chancellor, you do fancy that one, do you?
Look, Nigel is going to make those decisions in good time when he is ready. Look, I came into politics not because I wanted a particular job in a cabinet. I came into politics before Nigel was even an MP. Threw my weight behind him because I felt like it was mission critical to actually the history and the future of the United Kingdom that he becomes Prime Minister. If I'm fortunate enough to get a job from him, I'll take it with gratitude, and I'll do my best.
Spoken like a proper cabinet minister there, Zia Youssef. Zia, just finally, one very quick question. Do you think, if and when we have a reform government, our relationship with that special relationship with America will be much better than now?
I hope so. I hope it will. I think I will say this, though. It is more important than ever, right, that Britain can stand on its own 2 feet. Look, the reality is not since World War II, frankly, has economic might and hard military power been more important. That is just a fact. The world order is changing. And so if we don't wake up and Britain does not get rid of this insane energy policy, stop unilaterally, economically and militarily disarming you. Zach Polanski, of course, out there currently polling at 15 to 20%, saying he wants to unilaterally destroy our nuclear deterrent. So we have to rebuild economically, rearm and compete on the world stage. And that is what Nigel will do as Prime Minister. That's what a reformed government will deliver.
OK, and Zia, just finally and quickly, somewhat cheekily, if you had to arm wrestle Robert Jenrick for the position of Shadow Chancellor, who's going to win?
Almost certainly me.
Zia, thank you so much. Always great fun to talk to you. That's our Head of Policy, Reform UK, Zia Youssef. Thank you very much there. Well, let me know what you think about that one at gbnews.com/your say. I'm Daubney. This is GB News. Lots more coming up on today's show. Still no word about that promised U-turn on pub business rates, as landlords warn rising costs are pushing local pubs and indeed many of those landlords to the very brink. All of that and much more to come. This is GB News at Britain's News Channel. I'll see you very soon.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello and welcome back to the weekend with me, Dawn Newsroom. Thank you so much for your company. And I'm a very happy bunny because I've just been told that West Ham have won a football match. I know. I've got my lucky boots on as well. I'll put it on social media later. Now, talking of celebrating pubs, let's talk about pubs, shall we? Because our anxiously awaiting the details of the Chancellor's climb down on business rates after it was announced weeks ago that she would U-turn on her increase to tax relief. GB News national reporter, just going to call her pub reporter now because she's always in one, Sophie Reaper joins us from yet another pub. Sophie.
Well done. I've come out from behind the bar now so that we can have a chat to some of the punters here in the 1B Tap in Lancashire, because, of course, as we know, pubs are right at the heart of our communities. They're a place that people can go. They can bring their dogs along. I'm not sure if we can see our fabulous dogs here. There they are. Oh, beauties, aren't they? We love a dog here on GB News. But it's somewhere you can bring your dog, it's somewhere you can come, it's somewhere you can chat to friends, family, loved ones. It's a place for celebration, it's a place to get together. So let's talk to one local resident now, Pete, who is here with us now. Pete, how important are pubs to our communities? How important are they to allow people a place to go and get together and socialise?
Well, I think they're vastly important, vastly important. As somebody that lives on their own, I go from one Saturday to the next Saturday without seeing anybody. So the only time I can come out and socialise with my friends is basically on a Saturday afternoon in the pub.
And how does that make you feel then when you hear statistics, for example, like 500 pubs this year are predicted to close? What would you do if the pub culture in the United Kingdom were to die?
We can't let it die. It's a big part of the British culture. We always used to joke about it in the past, you know, if you're going to look for a house, always check out your local before you put a bid in on the house, you know, to find out what the area's like and what the people are like. So, yeah, I think it's vastly important, it's having a local pub.
And if, obviously, we're waiting for this announcement from the Chancellor, from the government, to find out what exactly they're going to be doing to support our local pubs, if you had a message for the Chancellor about what the government could be doing to support pubs like this one and landladies like Kelly, what would your message to the Chancellor be today?
Give them a break on the tax rates. Whatever way you can help to try and assist somebody who's really going out of her way to do the best for the town of Great Harwood. You know, we've got this bar here, there's another bar potentially in the pipeline, and she's got a bakery in the pipeline as well. So she's doing an amazing job for Great Harwood.
And so you would say to Rachel Reeves, we need to do something, we need to save our British pubs?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Back in the years when I was fitter, we used to have a local pram race where we used to go around all the local pubs. Nowadays, half of those pubs are shut. So you couldn't really have a pram race now because half the places are shut down. So that's just representing Great Harwood. Take that nationally, it must be a frightening statistic.
Absolutely. Pete, thanks so much for joining us this afternoon. There you are, Dawn, the absolute fabric of our communities. And as Pete was saying there, for people, for example, who are living on their own and they might not get out to see anyone else socially without our pubs, they would have nothing else. So it's a terrifying picture, especially when you contextualise it with predicted 500 plus pubs to close this year alone. So a very scary time for our landlords.
Indeed. Sophie, excellent job. Thank you so much. And let's hope we do get some information about what help they're going to receive. I mean, it would be nice. It's been going on for weeks now. That is the wonderful Sophie Reaper, who was in a pub, obviously. OK, now, a government spokesperson has said they recognise the cultural and economic importance of pubs, with a Treasury spokesman adding, with COVID support ending and valuations rising, some firms may face higher costs. So we have stepped in to cap bills and help businesses as part of a £4.3 billion support package. Yeah, OK. Now, in any case, it's time for the Great British Giveaway, and you have just a few days left to see if you could become our biggest cash winner today. It's 85 grand in tax-free cash. Here's how you do it.
It's the final week to see how you could become our biggest cash prize winner to date, as there's a simply stunning £85,000 in tax-free cash to be won. Go on that dream holiday, buy that brand new car, or just relax in the knowledge that the rest of the year could be on us. But you have to hurry, as lines close on Friday the 30th of January. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Oh, good luck indeed. That'd be smashing, wouldn't it? OK, I'm Dawn Neeson. This is GB News. Lots more coming up on today's show But yes, she's back with those news headlines. It is, oh yeah, Bethany, here she is.
Dawn, thank you. Good afternoon. The headlines from the GB Newsroom. President Donald Trump has threatened Canada with 100% tariffs on imports if it makes a trade deal with China. It follows controversy over the Greenland. Deputy Labour leader Lucy Powell is warning against blocking the Mayor of Manchester, Andy Burnham, from running in the Gorton and Denton by-election, saying it should be up to him and local members. The Prime Minister has been forced to withdraw his Chagos Islands bill, which would see the territory handed over to Mauritius. It's after Donald Trump described the deal as an act of great stupidity. The White House has doubled down on Donald Trump's comments, saying US contributions to NATO dwarf that of other allies, something Sir Keir Starmer described as insulting and asked for an apology. And ministers will be given new powers to intervene in failing police forces in England and Wales. It's after a row over West Midlands Police's Maccabi Tel Aviv fan ban, which led to the retirement of its chief constable. You're up to date. That's it from me. Sophia Wensler will be here in half an hour.
Tune into GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB Digital Radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player, on Nation Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Thank you very much, Bethany. And remember, let me know your thoughts on all the stories we have been discussing. Lots of you getting in touch about Zia Youssef. You lots of fans out there for Zia. Yeah, and he does have a great sense of humour as well, which is what I do like in a politician, because let's face it, we do need it at the moment. So carry on with those thoughts coming in at gbnews.com/yoursay and join in our conversation, or scan the QR code thingy on your screens there. OK, now lots more coming up on today's show. A radical overhaul of policing, with plans for every officer to hold and regularly renew a licence to practice. What? Or face being removed from the force. I thought we needed more coppers on the beat. Any case, all of that and much more to come. I'm Dawn Newsome, and this is with GB News, Britain's news channel. Put the kettle on, but don't go too far. I'll see you soon.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. A wet and windy day on offer at times in parts of the west, with some Met Office warnings in force. But the good news is there will be some brighter spells at times. Now, why has it been so wet and windy recently? Well, it's all thanks to low pressure moving in from the Atlantic, and through today we'll see it continuously swirl around across parts of the southwest. So a wet and windy day on offer across parts of Wales, southwest England, and some strong gusty winds could create some large waves, and persistent rain could lead to some localised flooding. Later on, this rain will start to push into parts of Northern Ireland, also some spells of rain across the far northeast of Scotland, this likely turning to hill snow at times, but elsewhere mostly dry, a mix of patchy cloud and some brighter spells, maybe even some sunny spells across parts of the southeast later. Now, through the course of the evening, we'll continue to see these bands of rain push into parts of south and southwest England, parts of Wales as well, and eventually drifting into parts of Northern Ireland. Still quite persistent and heavy at times. A rain warning has been issued for Northern Ireland through the overnight period. Still continuous spells of rain across the far northeast of Scotland, and likely falling as snow towards higher ground. Now, through the overnight period, once again, it's going to be mostly cloudy, and we'll still continue to see spells of rain and showers, still fairly gusty around western coast too, but overall winds will be largely easing away. And with cloud and the added breeze, that should hopefully be holding temperatures up as we head towards Sunday morning. So mostly in the mid-single figures, but where we see any clearer skies in any sheltered spots, we could see more towards freezing. Now, heading into Sunday, it is going to be another unsettled day. Some clouds, some spells of rain. We'll see an initial drier spell at first across parts of the southwest before a secondary band of rain starts to move through. Perhaps some brighter spells later across Northern Ireland, and remaining mostly dry across East Anglia and the very far southeast, and temperatures around about average for the time of year.
Britain was once the envy of the world, but look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in,
This is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Hello, welcome back to the weekend with me, Dawn Neeson. Caught me having a chat with my next guest, because you don't want to miss this one. OK, police officers could soon face regular job tests under the biggest shake-up of policing in 200 years, evidently. Ministers want every officer to hold a renewable licence to practice, similar to doctors and nurses. Supporters say it restores trust. Critics call it box-ticking. I'm just saying, can't we just get more coppers on the beat and protecting us? Joining me now is retired Scotland Yard detective Mike Neville. Mike, good to see you. That's what I want to gossip with. Thank you so much for coming in. What's this one about, Mike?
Well, my fear is who's making the money out of it. What we've seen with policing is that you used to go to a military-type establishment. I left the army, two-hand and drill sergeant marching us around, and really recruited people who had things you can't really teach: common sense, fairness, bravery. And I'm always mindful, there was a cartoon in Private Eye once, and it's two nurses talking, and one said to the other, the patient said I didn't have empathy. I wrote my dissertation on empathy. And, you change that for common sense in policing. The policing has now gone to this university-style education. We must have everybody with a degree. And what's happened is, the more that has happened, the more trust and confidence in the police has collapsed. And what you have, though, is you have a lot of people making a lot of money out of that. A lot of retired officers are recruited to teach. And I think with this, follow the money. Who's going to get it? It's no bad thing, really, I suppose. You could argue, a lot of my family are nurses. And it's right that, you get checked up on and things like that. But I'm afraid what it would be is a brainwashing exercise. They wouldn't be tested in how to catch a thief, how to catch a rapist, how to catch a robber, how to find more forensic evidence, how to gain more CCTV. I think they'd be told it'd be a test on how good at diversity are you, how good at some other woke policies. And in addition to that, somebody will make a load of money out of it. So what we need to do is get back to common sense, have good police officers, and catch more criminals, prevent a lot more crime, and that's how trust and confidence will be restored.
And how much time and money is this going to take? Can't we just get what everyone out there keeps saying? Can I just see more coppers on the beat? Actually, nicking people, basically.
The first, to restore trust and confidence, it could get rid of bureaucracy. When I used to stop and search a thief or somebody with a knife, it would be one-page bit of paper. Now it's vast amounts of booklets, people community leaders coming in scrutinising it, all this sort of nonsense. And we've been told time and time again that all these things, just like this, it will restore trust and confidence in police. We were told the more diverse the police is, the more trust and confidence will be. If you have more degrees, there'll be more trust and confidence in the police. And you can almost track the more degrees that police have, the more diversity there is, the less and less trust and confidence. Because most people, they're not bothered about the sexuality or the officer who comes to help. What they need is an officer to turn up, give them a professional service, help them if they're in trouble, make sure they try and investigate the crime. And that's what will restore trust and confidence in policing, not licences or anything else.
And what about the other parts of the package we're expecting Shabana Mahmood to announce this week, sort of like, cutting back the number of police forces in this country, the Home Secretary, which you would have thought should have had in any case, having the power to dismiss chief constables in areas. Well, will it help anything?
Well, I think it will help in some ways, because we had the fiasco with Craig Guildford, the
West Midlands,
the chief constable of the West Midlands, who clung on after all those, for days and days and days after the Home Secretary declared no confidence. The awful treatment of the Jewish community and Israeli fans who were going to come to this country, and we had a Home Secretary who could only say, I don't like the bloke. So really, that power needs to change, and we could deal with that. As far as the police forces goes, you have a silly situation in this country. You've got the Metropolitan Police, for example, with 30,000 officers. You've got Manchester with 6,000 or 7,000, 8,000 officers. And then you've got forces like Bedfordshire with 1,500. And it's not unusual. So Thames Valley Police, which was created in 1974, it covers Oxfordshire, Bedfordshire, Oxfordshire, Buckinghamshire and Berkshire. Now, if those three can work together, why can't other police forces? I mean, you have some dangers. You know, if you're Cheshire, for example, nice area, and you get amalgamated with Merseyside, the danger is that the officers will be sucked out of Warrington and put on the streets of Liverpool. So that's something we've got to be careful of. But we shouldn't be having police forces with 1,500 people headed by a chief constable and all the entourage when a chief superintendent in the Met has got the same amount of officers. Doesn't seem right.
So the overhaul is being sort of like described as the biggest shake-up in 200 years. Do you think it's heading in the right direction?
It probably is. I mean, it's not. I won't say it was 200 years because in 1974, you know, there was 200 police forces, and now we've got 43. But all these police forces were designed for, like, there used to be a Bolton police force because crime. If you're a criminal in Bolton, you commit crime in Bolton. Then it had to be expanded to Greater Manchester Police. But we're in a situation now where, you know, you could live in Bedfordshire, but what you do is you get on your phone and you can swindle somebody in Buenos Aires. You know, you can the travel, the internet makes crime so much more national and international. And I don't know where it could. When people say, "Oh, it's more locally focused," who cares really? They just want the police to be good and help them when a crime's committed against them.
Yeah. Nick the villains, basically.
Yeah,
that's what we want. Mike, thank you so much. That's retired Scotland Yard detective Mike Neville there. Thank you very much. Let us know what you think. As always, gbnews.com/say. I am Dawn Neeson. This is indeed GB News, and there's lots more coming up on today's show, including all the latest sport with Aidan McGee. But before that, if you are in search of some holiday sun, here's a forecast for those top European destinations for you.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean all clear skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Hello, are you heading away this weekend? Storm Ingrid is bringing some very unsettled weather to Portugal and Spain. It's pretty wet and windy elsewhere too. The Canary Islands, though, still seeing plenty of dry weather, not especially warm, however. Very wet weather into Spain and Portugal, and some unsettled weather, thunderstorms across parts of Italy as well as the Balkans. It does look drier, though, towards Greece for the weekend. That wet weather will push eastwards later, though. Bye-bye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Martin Daubney, weekdays from 3 p.m.
Yes, thanks for having me very much. Yeah, they are struggling at the moment quite a lot. I mean, of course, we hear about taxes and the way that rates are changing, but actually pubs, over the last 2 years, whilst I've been going across the country, have been telling me over and over again, it gets harder and harder just to exist.
And you've got social media accounts, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people watch your amazing videos where you go into a boozer, you tell its story, you talk to locals, you get right to the heart and soul, because pubs aren't just about pounds and pence. They're about communities. They're about the mortar that holds together the bricks of Britain.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, who would have thought when I started doing this 2 years ago that I would be here now with almost 500,000 followers? It is a crazy experience. Of course, you know, this for me started as a hobby. You know, and I'm going to give away my age now. As 20 years ago, as a group of 20-somethings, we would be going into London for our birthdays and get pretty bored of some of the soulless, expensive bars that would exist, and, you know, very aware of the fact that we're in one of the greatest cities in the world with 3,500 pubs, and between those pubs, some of the most iconic sites that you can see, all, you know, anywhere in the world, and tourists come from everywhere to see them. That was our excuse then to go out on a pub crawl.
And I've been through your top 10 pubs, Thomas Vosper. I've been to 4 out of 10 of them. I'm delighted to see that the old trip to Jerusalem and Nottingham, my home city, is there.
I think the beauty of a pub is that what makes it special is very personal to you.
Yes.
One of the questions I do get asked more than any other is, what's the best pub to go to? But of course, some of them are huge, grand banking halls, buildings that have been repurposed, some of those old little pubs where you've got a nice flat warm ale and a fire to sit next to.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Oh, hello, welcome back to the weekend with me, Dawn Newsroom. Thank you so much for your company this afternoon. I really, really appreciate it. Always do, but today it's special. It feels special today. OK, now, to the world of sport, as a programme was once called. It's a huge blow for Jack Grealish as he risks missing the rest of the season. And obviously, and lots of other stuff going on as well, including a certain East London club maybe winning a football match. GB News sports presenter Supremo, I like to think, Aidan McGee is here with all of your sports news. Aidan!
One place to start, the London Stadium, where I haven't actually spoken to you properly since QPR lost there. Well, West Ham bought their shooting boots today, and you bought your moon boots. Yay! Look at those. Now, the idea of West Ham staying up seemed like lunacy.
That's why I like Aidan. He brings the jokes.
But look, they won 3-1 today. Yeah. An excellent win against an informer, Sunderland. Very, very difficult to beat. And it's put huge pressure on Nottingham Forest now. Remember, Nottingham Forest won at West Ham just a couple of weeks ago. Everyone was saying it's over. This is the Premier League. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah,
now,
thankfully.
Nottingham Forest go to Brentford tomorrow. They're just 2 points inside they only have a 2-point cushion on West Ham in the bottom three. It's all to play for, and that's what makes it interesting. I mean, we haven't got a huge amount to be enthused about at the top of the Premier League, which is why I suggest that numbers are down in terms of the viewership. I don't think people think it's as good a product as it was some years ago, but nonetheless, we've got some good matches today as well. The Wolves are in action at Manchester City. Manchester City have benched Erling Haaland. Now, I don't know whether that's because he's out of form a little bit. You know, they had that match earlier in the week, didn't they, against Bodo Glimt. They lost 3-1. Maybe he's been sacrificed for that, or the fact that he's just playing so often and they've got Wolves at home.
Maybe he's planning that move to West Ham.
You reckon you could see him in claret and blue? I could see him in your moon boots.
In my moon boots, definitely.
They'd keep him warm when he goes home to Norway, wouldn't they? They would have kept him warm at Bodo Glimt as well.
They would.
I want to touch on the tennis as well, because Novak Djokovic was in action this morning. He won in Australia in Melbourne Park, and he's through to the fourth round of the Aussie Open, which he's won, I think, about 12 or 13 times previously. And as I say, he won in straight sets, but he was just a few inches away from being disqualified because he hit the ball away and it almost hit a ball kid. He has apologised afterwards, but it happened to him at the US Open in 2020. He was disqualified for the same reason. Interesting as well, Naomi Osaka. I don't know if you saw her outfit earlier in the week.
No, I didn't. You mentioned a jellyfish?
Yeah, we had some pictures of it this morning. I don't think we've got them now, but look, she came out in this kind of hat and this kind of...
hold on, I think we've got it.
We've got it, have we? Oh, there we go.
Right.
Look at that. Absolutely outstanding. Now, I love the hat. Oh, look at that. Could you see... I mean, she didn't play tennis in that, but that would have been a bit uncomfortable. But what an outfit. She called it a jellyfish outfit.
I can understand why she did that. I prefer my moon boots, if I'm being completely honest.
I think your moon boots compliment that outfit
yes,
nicely.
Of course.
But no, injury kept her out today. She made a statement saying that it was a problem with her body. She didn't go into absolute specifics, but no, she's out of the Australian Open, which is a shame, so I was looking forward to more of those outfits.
More outfits and more moon boots. Other boots are available. Aidan McGee, thank you.
Jack Grealish just out injured because of the foot surgery. Looks like he's going to miss the World Cup. You mentioned it at the top, that's why I kind of came in just to finish on that.
Of course, yeah. Hope he gets better soon. Thank you very much indeed, Aidan McGee, and thank you for your company this afternoon. It's always a pleasure to have a chat to you on a Saturday afternoon. I've been Dawn Newsroom. I will be Dawn Newsroom when this finishes, even half teeth in. This is GB News. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your company. I'm back with you tomorrow lunchtime, but don't you dare move a muscle, because you know what's coming now, don't you? Here's Nana.
Hey, thank you, Dawn. Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to you. Of course, it's GB News. We've got so much coming up on today's show. Now, I'm going to be in my niggle. I'm going to talk about the Chagos, because it just seems a bit ridiculous that Star Wars prepared to give away something that we were going to buy back. Thank goodness for a slight little thing that could pause him from doing that. Plus, during the time of my show, we're likely to find out whether Andy Burnham is going to run for the leader or run as an MP so that he can potentially take away Keir Starmer's leadership prospects of the Labour Party. Loads of that coming up. But first, weather.
expect warm spells, with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good afternoon. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. For the rest of the weekend, it's often going to be cloudy. We will still see some spells of rain and temperatures around average for this time of the year. Why has it been so wet recently? Well, it's all thanks to low pressure continuously coming in from the west, swirling around across the west and southwest of the country. So this means at times this evening we'll continue to see some spells of rain, particularly across southwest England, southern parts of Wales.